Hutch, the liberal from Lib Learn, is fighting his podcast host, Pisco, Econoboi, and Josiah over what's going on the far left in reference to criticism of progressive candidates. It's actually a pretty fiery and interesting debate, and so I'm ecstatic to be breaking it down for you today. Without further ado, let's check it out.
Fight again.
Well, to Hutch's point, but you're not making, I mean, I feel like you've said this several times, that like you're not really even commenting on the principal nature of the vote. You're making a purely practicality-based vote, which is to say that, you know, this, I guess under your view, you would say that like this kind of gets some of the heat off of AOC, and it wouldn't be as controversial of a vote for her to take.
Yeah, let's.
And it was DOA
sure.
anyway.
Hutch, you are not critiquing, yes or no, you are not critiquing Econoboi's principle of the argument, separate from the pragmatics. You're not criticizing what Econoboi just said about the sort of underlying principle of the policy, correct?
No, principally, I think it's stupid, and strategically, I think it's stupid. Because
okay,
what you
I love this about Hutch. So Econoboi, and I'm just gonna call a spade, okay? Econoboi and Pisco are trying to shame Hutch for his perspective and be like, well, you're not really talking about the morality of it. You're talking about the pragmatics of it. And Hutch is like, no, fuck you. I'm talking about the morality as well. It's awesome. Don't worry. They're just starting to cook this. For setup, they're talking about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the progressive congresswoman. So there were two bills. One of them was a general defense spending bill that gave a bunch of money to Israel, including offensive munitions. AOC voted no on that bill. Then there was a separate bill or a provision that was effectively saying no funding for the Iron Dome. And AOC, she just abstained from voting, or she voted with the majority or whatever, because she thought it was stupid to not specifically fund defensive stuff. And so Hutch actually makes a line of argumentation that I really enjoy. He's going to mog these people. It's awesome.
So the logic is, let me spell it out. They say that the Iron Dome is not just a defensive missile system or defensive missile system, right? They say it's offensive because Israel can conduct military strikes and military operations without any credible fear.
Jen, if you got to jump in and out, we don't mind. We appreciate it when you're here, okay?
Of like a massive barrage of rockets, because they have this intense. And so if they were to suffer like those bombings or whatever, then maybe they would think twice about like, bombing Syria or Iran or whatever. This is fucking stupid. Number one.
It's not stupid at all. No, it's not stupid at all. Hold on, let me explain. Should we give Palestine Iron Dome? Should we give Palestine Iron Dome?
Dude, Hutch needs to start lifting weights, bro. He's 6'4". Him and I got a little bit of thinning hair. I think he's thinning a little bit more than me, which is why he's going for the bald thing. If he starts lifting weights, he's going to be a monster. Come on, Hutch.
I would like to finish my point right now.
Okay, yeah, sure.
The reason why this is fucking stupid is the rockets that are sent into Israel very oftentimes are sent into Israeli like civilian neighborhoods. And so what you're saying to take this position, you are saying that in order for Israel to like learn its lesson that it can't do these strikes in Syria or whatever, is you think that civilians, Israeli civilians should die. That's
no,
that's what
it's money is fun. No. So we're gonna have the argument. We're gonna linearize and be 100% clear. So to be clear, you would not support, would you, giving defensive, quote unquote, defensive weaponry to Hamas, correct?
No, to Hamas, no, I would not.
Yeah,
but
why wouldn't you be in favor of that? Wait, why would? Can I ask why?
Hold on, as someone who
because he doesn't view them as moral equivalents.
Doesn't want like anyone to die from these bombs. I would want like everybody to have a fucking Iron Dome system. So it's not like I do think that civilians
why would you be
in every
against
country should be
why would you be
allowed
against
to
defensive?
be,
Why would you be against defensive weapons for Hamas?
I do not put Hamas on the same plane as IDF.
Wait, no, but there's hang on. Those are defensive weapons. They're defensive weapons to prevent civilian death and to prevent attacks from coming into Gaza. So why wouldn't you be in support of Hamas having defensive weapons?
If it was like any other like governing body or military that was not Hamas, then I think we could have that conversation.
No, presumably because you understand the fungibility of resources, right?
This is the strongest part of, looks like LB is siding with Pisco and Econoboi. Unsurprising. However, this is the strongest argument for the anti-vote or anti-Iron Dome funding vote. However, Hutch is going to own them in a minute. Okay, so the strongest argument that these people have is the fungibility of assets, which means that if we subsidize Iron Dome funding, that means Israel has more money in order to spend on offensive weaponry. That's the strongest point from the Pisco side.
Money spent in one thing is like, it's fungible, right? Like, just like you wouldn't be in favor of just I don't know, like just handing over buckets of money to Hamas because it shores up other things that they could otherwise spend on arms, right? Like, it's the argument for material support.
Aren't you distracting from the point?
I'm not distracting at all. I'm not distracting at all.
Necessarily leads you to the conclusion that Israeli civilians are going to have to die in order for like Israel to learn this lesson. But I don't even want to like attack that necessarily on its own. The reason why I think this is stupid is because if you start having rockets go into Israel and they don't have this Iron Dome the defensive system, you don't think that Israel's going to attack even more harshly if like dozens or hundreds of Israeli civilians are killed? You don't think?
I agree. Every time there's any time that there's dozens or hundreds of Israelis who get smoked, Israel kicks the shit out of whoever started it. In 48, they kicked the shit out of everybody. In 67, they kicked the shit out of everybody. In 73, they kicked the shit out of everybody. In 82, they kicked the shit out of Lebanon. So like, dude, he's just fundamentally correct that if you eliminate the Iron Dome, and of course, like, there's going to be an argument here about pragmatics where we could say, hey, Israel, you're engaged in behavior that we don't agree with. Therefore, you can fund it yourself. We'll give you time to taper off. That's an okay argument. I'm perfectly okay with that as a moral stance. However, that's not what's being argued by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, why are we funding foreign nations who are engaged in wars that are not in our interest? Let's stop funding immediately. And then the progressives who signed onto the bill said, Israel is currently engaged in a genocide. Therefore, we don't want to support them in any way, shape, or fashion. Therefore, we're signing onto the bill as a symbolic protest. Those are like totally fine, like cogent, coherent arguments. I think they're valid. They're not sound. But Hutch, using a consequentialist analysis, is saying, okay, let's say that we abruptly stop the funding for the Iron Dome. That means that Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, etc., are going to kill more Israeli civilians. And then Israel is going to go to war even harder than it already is, which if we analyze it historically, it's just true. Just true. It's just factually true.
I think they're going to bomb even more.
The notion is go ahead, Econoboi, but I have a response. But
yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, the main argument that I've heard, which I think is pretty sensible, is the idea of the fungibility of the assistance, right? That look, I mean, I think if
this is the strongest point from the progressives.
Israel, you know, the Iron Dome program is undoubtedly effective at preventing civilian casualties in Israel, but I think that by defunding and just like generally stripping away the military assistance from Israel, you're forcing them to make that choice themselves and say, hey, look, like obviously Israel has the money to fund this system. Like Israel's a very rich country and they have the ability to financially, you know, they have the tax base to replace all, you know, money that goes to them from the United States. And so similarly with the Iron Dome system, I think it would be very sensible for it to be funded, but it should be funded by the Israeli government. And the argument, especially at this point where we're seeing like, you know, it seems like we're seeing starvation deaths kick up and like they've become significantly more aggressive since Trump took office with all the aid. I mean, I saw a story today which saw that they opened fired on a bunch of people that were scrambling to get aid from the aid trucks because people have gotten so desperate that
like 60 people got murdered. It's fucking insane.
And I was going to say, like in that environment, given that, again, fungibility of resources, that, hey, Israel, if you want to fund the Iron Dome, we know that you have the money to do that. And by stripping away that money, you're kind of forcing them to reprioritize their military resources for a defensive posture,
war,
which would be better for the Palestinian people. And I think that's a very sensible.
While simultaneously protecting Israeli civilians, right? So,
yeah, so right, exactly. You guys are just so you guys.
This is the strongest point from the progressive things, but Hutch is going to have a kill shot in a second. So effectively what they're saying is we can let Israel fund their own shit and Israeli civilians still won't die because Israel will fund it and then we won't have as much blood on our hands. Now, I still think there's like a geopolitical argument here where we don't want Israel to fall into security or economic alliance with China or Russia, or, well, actually just China and Russia as a patron for the state of Israel. So we don't want to totally cut off our relationship. And then the Mossad intel agency, along with Israel's military and technology capacity, becomes intertwined with our rivals. So we're kind of held hostage to this relationship where we have to be critical enough in order to make sure that they're not doing horrific shit in our name, but not so critical that they fall into Russian and Chinese orbit.
They're disagreeing with this idea that if more Israeli civilians died, that they would.
Wait a minute.
You're not hearing what Econoboi just said.
Arcanal says mass Gestapo is being unleashed on the USA by a nonstop lying criminal common who led an insurrection against the US, and you guys are staring at your navels, frowny face. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We talk about Trump all the time. Arcanals are. I was gonna make a joke about your name, but I'll leave it alone just in case you're already pissy. Valor says, another strong argument is that the Iron Dome doesn't just protect against Hamas missiles defending the Iron Dome. It leaves Israel wide open to all strikes, which could lead to World War III. Exactly.
Wait, yeah,
You're just
Hutch,
literally not listening to him.
Can you address that part, Hutch? Because I think, listen, I'm not a foreign policy guy, but from what little I've heard, that was, I think, a pretty good point. This idea that it doesn't necessitate the death of Israeli citizens. If the Israeli government is capable of funding the Iron Dome on itself, Israel just can't have its cake and eat it too. They can't simultaneously commit an offensive war with impunity and rely on the United States largesse. They can protect themselves. It doesn't necessitate Israeli deaths. It also prevent them from being in a position to inflict such casualties on Palestinians. Do you accept that?
Yes, that's an understandable argument. I understand
Okay.
what you're saying here. If we can dive into the practical consideration.
It's valid, but it might not be sound. And Hutch is going to have a headshot in a second that I love.
Here.
Okay.
No.
Wait. But can you grant that at least? I mean, wait. So you're going to say grant? Okay. So you're great. Okay. Cool.
I understand that argument. Maybe I didn't hear what he was saying exactly.
Oh, dude, I'm going to get triggered by chat. Hutch is uneducated. He has no skills or credentials and spent his life playing video games. Fuck off. He's about to mog all these people in a second. KO Dave says, but at least without Hamas, Israel wouldn't have any excuse to attack Gaza. Don't know what that's in reference to. I've seen KO Dave in my chat, by the way. Yeah, anyways. Noah Hoke, bad take, Hutch. Dude, this is such a hug box. Arcanal says, idiots, your yada, yada, yada is worthless. Okay, fuck off then. How about that, Arcanals? How about if I don't see you engaging with the content and your next thing is like, why aren't you talking about the thing that I want you to talk about? If you say that, I'm going to ban you. How about that shit? How about you take your little mouse cursor. Oh, this content is cringe. I don't like this. We should be talking about Trump. Number one, go over to Midas. Midas is talking about Trump nonstop. You can get your little Midas, Trump bad content. You can also go watch Pondering Politics. One of the guys we're watching right now. Pondering Politics has excellent Trump bad content. So go ahead and move your mouse up to your search bar, click in there, type in Midas Touch, then watch all the Trump bad content in there. And then when you're done watching Trump bad content, type in Pondering Politics, watch a whole bunch of more Trump bad content. Then when you're done with that, you can fuck off. How about that? And if I see another comment where it's like, this isn't the content that I want to watch, you're getting banned. How about that? How about that? How about them apples?
Because I was in my own head or whatever, but yes, that makes sense. But just now, can we dive into the practical?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Like someone like AOC, right? You guys want to see her succeed. Like she is the biggest champion right now. She's the biggest champion by far for democratic socialism or progressive policies
100%.
in Congress. Bernie's very clearly handing her the mantle. She very clearly, I think, is not going to be content to stay in the House. I don't think she wants to be House Speaker. I think she wants to be a senator, a governor, or president. I think
we'll see. Yeah.
I think that's my sense of things, right? As such, you should be actively rooting for her to do these kinds of votes because
these ruthless kind of votes.
This type of thing is the type of thing that will come back to bite her in the ass. 4 years from now, she's going to be on a debate stage, or 3 years from now, she's going to be on a debate stage.
Wait, the way she voted, or if she voted a different way? Can you clarify?
If she voted to strip funding for the Iron Dome,
gotcha.
There's going to be a moderator or whatever during the primary debates, and they're going to ask her, why did you vote to strip a defensive missile system? And even if your argument here is persuasive, to normie voters, they're just going to hear, wait, what? You wanted to get rid of their defensive missile systems? And
headshot. So, dude, this is 100% a headshot, okay? AOC, if she's running, and if I think that even LB has to admit that AOC is one of the most progressive members of Congress. And if AOC wants to stay in the House, she probably has a pretty secure position to do so. However, all of the indications are that the way that she interacts with social media, the way that she interacts with other Democrats, the way that she interacts with Nancy Pelosi, the way that she interacts with Ro Khanna is indicating that she wants to grow as a politician, and eventually she probably wants to run for Senate, and eventually she probably wants to run for the presidency. So you have to interpret, but you have to choose your votes very carefully in order to make sure that your votes are not going to be misconstrued and easy fodder for your enemies to use against you. And so right there, from an electoral standpoint, this is a symbolic vote. It's not going anywhere. Most people are tepid Zionists where they vaguely support the existence of the state of Israel. I know you guys all think that everybody under the age of 40 is like a rabid neo-Nazi who wants the destruction of the state of Israel, but that's not true. 60 to 80% of the fucking country supports the existence of the state of Israel. And so as a result, if AOC wants to avoid a very easy anti-AOC campaign ad that says that she was trying to disarm Israel during a state of war, then she has to vote this way. She has to vote this way. This is 100% correct. It's a symbolic vote. It doesn't even strip of the offensive weaponry. And if the progressives ask the question later on and they say, hey, you vote, like there was an opportunity for us to stop subsidizing Israel and you voted no, then she can say, hey, it was a symbolic vote. It did nothing about offensive weaponry. And realistically, I support Israel's right to exist, although I completely disavow the genocide. That's an infinitely easier explanation than trying to 10,000 IQ explain why you wanted to eliminate defensive weaponry for the state of Israel. All right, checking in with chat because I love you. Miles Otwell says, any thoughts on the Wall Street Journal leaks last night? No. Guess what? My position is the same. Until proven different, Donald Trump is either sweeping for pedophiles or he's a pedophile himself. Boom. And by pedophile, I mean that through the 80s, the 90s, and the thousands, Jeffrey Epstein recruited a bunch of 13 to 18-year-olds to be models in New York City and to fly out to Lolita Express. And he would pay them tens of thousands of dollars in order to hang out with his friends and have sex with his friends. And he probably used that for some level of blackmail. And in order to avoid incarceration, he sold that information to intelligence agencies. That until proven wrong, that is my assessment of the situation. Okay. So no, Donald Trump confirmed to be in the Epstein files per the Wall Street Journal changes nothing. It just confirms the narrative that I already had in my head. Larry says, this isn't the content I want to watch. I'm here for group workouts, lol. Well, I need to start working out in a minute then, huh? I'll be doing back and bicep today. So I'll be doing regular curls, hammer curls, reverse curls. Then I'll be doing bent over rows, mid back rows, and effectively like reverse sit-ups. So you'll see me doing that today. Yeah. Beef says never going to happen in reference to AOC running for higher office. I think you're wrong. There will never be an AOC presidency. That doesn't mean that she won't run in a primary. Just because she won't be selected as the nominee, which by the way, I think you're underestimating her charisma. But just because you're saying that she won't succeed in a primary contention doesn't mean that she won't run for a primary. The real question is, why does she run for my love? All right, I'll read LB's comment just to piss myself off, then we'll get back into it. LB says, the problem with your sheep are us, that you've forgotten the people tell government how to row the boat. If progressives don't want to fund genocide and she ain't got the tits to stand up. Yeah, you guys are a loud minority, though. Yeah, you're a loud minority. You actually don't have that much power compared to moderates. Moderates are in the driver's seat right now. All right, anyways. Dark King says, I've got a different view. I wanted AOC to fail, so I think she should have voted for it.
this is going to be something like that is baggage. And there was no upside to her doing that vote. Why did
we got an old school person. Solus 48 says first time catching you live since the church burning debate. That was like 3 years ago. Welcome aboard, Solus. Good to see you.
she need to shore up her support from a lefty online voter base? Why does she still need their support?
I'm not super offended by this vote. I think people who are showing out about it are
voted
cringe.
against the bill. She voted
because it was dead on arrival, right?
Like bill.
How many votes did it get?
The amendment only got 6. Her amendment only got 6 votes, bro. It was like 400 plus people voted against it.
I would like critique, and I would be scathing to anyone who, like, if AOC did vote in favor of this provision, I wouldn't have a problem with it either. And if she voted against it, I don't really have a problem with that. For me, it's not a humongous deal. It's not like the other kind of signaling votes that do matter to me, for example, that indicate weakness, right? On the one hand,
but you understand how people are going to weaponize a vote like that in the future, and it's just going to cost her.
I'm not super offended by it. I think the people who are showing out about it would vote for her, probably. Except
now, this is going to be the crux of the argumentation, where you're going to hear me say the same talking point over and over again, but I'm going to let them get into it. While I let them get into it, I'm going to lift weights.
And I think that she would get huge support from the far left community, from the pro-Palestinian community, and just be clear about where I stand on something. You know, I go after Ogre Boy because individually, I think a lot of there are some, you know, pro-Palestinian.
For those of you who don't know, Ogre Boy is one of the dumbest Hassan simps in media creation. He actually sucks.
Commentators who do have to answer for their votes with respect to not voting for Kamala or voting for Trump in some cases, but in general, like, the lefts voted for Kamala, and so I'm so done with this narrative. It's just really just not true that, like, we're in favor of having that, like, fall out. The left, by and large, is voting for the Democratic candidate. It's not a huge deal, and I think people will get over it. And I think that I have to make a little self-critique or critique at you, Hutch, a little bit. I think that the amount of time that you spend on lefties is a little inordinate given the risk that they pose from an electoral perspective.
They are all viciously attacking the best chance for democratic socialism in the Congress right now. Pull up her tweet and go in there.
They'll get over it.
What do you mean get over it?
Hassan will do a stream.
This logic.
Hassan will do a stream with AOC.
Progressive media have no power.
Well, I think what he's saying, and I'm curious about this, and maybe we should ask Lakshya about this when we talk to him next Monday, is I think Pisco's argument is, though they will bitch online about that it doesn't manifest meaningfully in voter turnout, that by and large lefties, progressives will still vote for the moderate Democratic candidate if a Republican is the alternative.
I completely reject this notion that a collective of audiences that number in the millions, that traffic in this kind of idiotic, myopic, juvenile, like baseless oftentimes rhetoric, you don't think that's doing damage electorally? Especially when these elections are this close.
No, it's
you guys are high, man.
I don't.
You're high.
Mr. Universe says apparently he might have a Hassan tattoo. I can confirm Ogre Boy has a Hassan tattoo. He's shown it to me. We were arguing because I was constantly hating on Hassan because, let's face it, Hassan's an idiot and he's political poison. And he was like, yeah, why are you hating on Hassan all the time? You're wasting all this time and energy talking shit about Hassan. And I'm like, because I hate him, obviously. And then somehow we got onto the fact that he had a tattoo of Hassan. I forget how. I think it was like he was sick or injured or disabled for a while. And, you know, Hassan helped him through his dark period by providing him entertaining content. And so eventually he got a Hassan tattoo. It was actually psychotic.
It's not but it's not that I don't think there's some margin of people that would be convinced by this, but we have to consider a few things. All right, so number one, a lot of these people have overlapping audiences, right? Number two, a lot of the audience of these people aren't necessarily like anti-electoralist or like Green Party voting socialists. You know, a lot of the people that watch these people are also libs, or also Democratic Party voters who just take a more skeptical view of things. And so when we look at, I think to Pisco's point, this is what resonates with me. Like when we look at like polling data, voting behavior, you know, we can even look at the anecdotes of just like what happens when AOC gives a public appearance or gives a public speech, right? You do find that there are some people, and by the way, this was a vote that she took a year ago. It was substantially the same vote where she voted to continue funding the Iron Dome. And
it literally was.
Look at what happened in that last year. Like, yeah, there have been a few people that have shown up to a few of her events and yelled at her. They threw paint on her, like her office, I guess, the other day. But look, she's going to coast to re-election in 2026, more likely than not.
She'll be fine.
I don't understand you guys. You want to use kid gloves with these people. I really don't.
Get a much. Okay, so let me not nail this down, because we're all Twitch and YouTube politics is a microcosm, meaning a very small thing in reference to politics. However, the relationships that we have scale up to the people who are millionaires and billionaires who are ultimately deciding the fate of our country. So I need to highlight this for you. Pondering just wants the left to win in general. So he doesn't care who's allied with who, as long as they win, right? So he'll deal with the far left, he'll deal with moderates, he doesn't give a shit. Pisco and Econoboi are trying to yank the Overton window far left because they think that it's fundamentally correct. I would say Pisco is more progressive than he is socialist, but Econoboi is 100% like just came out of the closet recently as a socialist. Hutch is a moderate and thinks that the extremes turn off moderates because he's a moderate and he can barely tolerate these motherfuckers. And I'm a moderate Republican, and I'll tell you that if 80% of the Democratic Party becomes Pisco and Econoboi, I'm not going to work with them. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to bring in socialism, and I'm not going to do constant apologia for like woke DEI bullshit, right? And so Hutch recognizes correctly that when you pander and cater to far left people, you turn off moderates. So Hutch is saying he's a liberal, he's not a moderate. Okay, whatever, bro. Pick your. Do you understand that I'm talking about a political spectrum? Do I need to draw a map here? But anyways, the point is that Hutch understands that you're turning off liberals, you're turning off moderates. And so as a result, he's worried that when you're talking about an election that's razor thin, it's a fucking problem to let lefties be psychos out loud to millions of people. The reason why I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The reason why Pisco and Econoboi don't give a fuck is because they know it shifts the Overton window in their direction. So hold on. There's some complaining about the use of the word moderate, so let's address it. Dark King says the far left needs to be kept to the margins of the Democratic Party. No point in even arguing. Well, that's not what Pisco and Econoboi are arguing. They're saying ignore them. Just let them get bigger. It's not a big deal. Grassroots for 20. Thank you, King. Ha ha ha. What a nerd. Who has a Hassan tattoo? Ogre Boy. Covering up my face tattoo of Connor's face I have on my face. Nice. When is Hutch going to cook, Connor? That's an impossible task. He already did. He already headshot your progressive nerds by saying that effectively AOC is not going to take a stupid symbolic vote that's going to cost her potentially a primary run or a Senate seat in the future. That's already an argument that trumps everything that Pisco and Econoboi have said. And then he's cooking right now where he's saying, stop ignoring the far left. They're psychos and they're going to make everything worse. Nublar says, recently I'd conclude otherwise, especially with the Vanguard. These guys will just casually say something insane like the entire party is corrupt and they aren't even immediately stopped for saying that. Yup. Vlad says Hutch is a liberal, not a moderate. I would view, what does moderate mean? Let's go ahead and pull up definitions while we're arguing. Moderate definition. Average in amount, intensity, quality, or degree. Nah, I would say Hutch is moderate like a motherfucker. Then I'm going to have to use the restroom in a second. Larry says, Dearborn, Michigan proved this to be false when a heavily Democratic city that once voted 60 plus for Biden went down to only low 40s for Kamala. The Muslim Democrats voting bloc dropped everywhere. Yup. And when you're talking about tens of thousands of votes deciding the election, these opinions matter. Hutch is fundamentally correct. All right, I need to use the restroom, so I'll be right back. However, enjoy these guys fighting. Also, I'm going to say we're at 130, which is awesome. Welcome aboard. Thank you for hanging out with us. Like the stream, super chats if you got it, memberships if you got it. We're live 5 days a week. Come tomorrow, not just today. Have fun with the content while I use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Yes, you do. You want
what are you talking about?
You want her to be successful, and you're hand waving literally all of them.
No,
like,
I'm not.
I don't agree. We don't agree with them.
You are.
We don't agree with them.
No, well, it's not that big of a deal. When the entire lefty media ecosystem are throwing her under the bus right now. All of them.
We don't think it will manifest in any kind of electoral result. I'm not convinced that it will have a material effect on her election chances with respect to like any kind of ambitious with president and anything related to the Senate. By your own metric, right? By your own metric, she is going to do better because of this vote. Like you are the one who's billing this as a strategic move.
In spite of these people, you get that?
Yeah. In spite of them.
Well, I don't think that Econoboi and Pisco are saying that the left bitching about AOC
we disagree
online
with
is
that.
helping.
I think it's
I don't think that they're saying that it's helping her. I think that they're saying that she will succeed in spite of them.
They're saying it's not that big of a deal. But Econoboi, you are changing your tune, my friend, because shortly after the election, you were making the case that polls were showing that a decent amount of people that sat out who otherwise would have voted Democrat, Gaza was a big deal to them. That's what you said shortly after the election.
Yeah,
you
but
don't think the social media ecosystem had any part in that? Like nothing or little part?
Well, no. First of all, the mainstream media covered this as a huge issue as well, and I mean there were major swaths of the Democratic Party that made that a priority. But we have to keep in mind, like when people aggregately say that they have more sympathy in the Democratic Party for Palestinians than for the Israeli government at this point, then that's a spectrum view of people. That like not everyone is as extreme as I don't know, like Hassan or Mike from PA on this issue. And when you actually like talk to a lot of pro-Palestinian organizers, when it comes to their view about AOC, it's just not quite as extreme as your average like lefty Twitter account, where a lot of them will say, yeah, it's a really disappointing vote, but look, I mean, AOC is right even on this issue, like 95%. People have a sensibility about these things, and then when it comes to like that's only amongst people that really, really, really prioritize this issue. I mean, I would ask you to make a prediction, Hutch. Do you think AOC is not going to get reelected to her congressional seat? Do you think she's going to get primary? Do you think that she's going to have like wall-to-wall protests at every single event she goes to? Do you think that she's going to, all of a sudden fall the fuck off in the polling of these presidential 2028 hypotheticals? Like, I think in
2028, if she hypothetically were to make a primary run for the president, they're going to make her job harder. They're going to hurt her in this.
I think they're going to support her. I think they will. But if they don't,
I will never understand. Right. I will never understand. You guys support her. You want her to be successful. You see creators with massive audiences. This is not small beans.
Condemn Hassan condemning AOC over this.
You see all of them in unison throwing her under the bus right now.
It's bad. What do you want me to say? Dude, I love this. I love when Pisco and Econoboi have to go, oh, it's bad. What do you want me to say? And then, but realistically, they're still sweeping. Anonymous Chatter says, do you think the extremes make politics more entertaining? Yes. I remember 20-ish years ago when politics was boring and people weren't this tuned into it. I think it might be part of the issue. Yeah, but that's the internet now. The internet has made politics, like politics was always policy mixed with sex drama, mixed with cults of personality, mixed with electoral appeal, mixed with nerdy gaffes and cringe moments. That was always politics. Politics was always super entertaining to autists like me. But the internet has brought it to the fore, and then Trump has made it effectively entertainment television. So yeah, it's a problem that you have to be extreme in order to get attention. It's a problem. But I think you just have to pursue truth. What is Econoboi's most problematic take? That socialism is good. That's his most problematic take.
And your reaction is to not like.
Wait a second. Wait. So two separate things. Wait. Two separate things. There's one issue, and I want to see if you agree with me laying out. One issue is, do we agree with that criticism, and do we condemn that criticism? I want to answer the affirmative. I condemn that criticism. I support my queen AOC. So that's one issue. Do we support that, and do we condemn the people who are making those opinions? I condemn the people who are condemning AOC on the basis of the vote. I agree with your strategic analysis. I don't really give a fuck if she voted one way or the other. I think it's small potato. I don't think it matters. That's one issue. The separate issue is, do you think it will be a big deal and materially affect anything over the course of AOC's political career? The answer to that is no. And you're telling
Hutch is saying yes. Hutch is saying when elections are this close, where you have razor thin margins, where tens of thousands of votes determine what happens in general elections. Look at 2024, bro. It was what, 3 or 4 states with tens of thousands of votes? And then you have millions of progressives increasingly radicalizing themselves online, saying that Trump's being a piece of shit, so we can be pieces of shit too. Yeah, it's a fucking problem. They're going to ask, and by the way, don't think that moderates on the right don't use that as an excuse to ignore the Democratic Party. They 100% do. There's an argument saying, how much energy should you spend on contrarian moderates who vote in dumb ways for dumb reasons? But the truth is, you should min-max your effectiveness, 100%. GRT says, I'm replacing the siding on a barn, dancing on 3 lifts of staging in 93-degree heat. Thanks for providing the content I need not to kill myself off of the top of the rung. Laugh my ass off. GRT, you are welcome. And chug water. Sit in the shade for 10 minutes once every 2 hours. And, you know, I don't know if you smoke cigarettes or vape or whatever, but, you know, take a break to contemplate life every 2 hours. That's what I would say.
I mean, I'm unhinged because I have the take that nothing ever happens. I'm unhinged for thinking this shit won't matter and they'll forget about it in 2 weeks. That makes me
Yes, you're unhinged. Yes, you're wrong.
unhinged, Hutch, right?
They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop attacking her. They're going to.
No, right, but that's
actively. They're going to actively work against her.
Hutch,
These people have massive audiences that if they actually mobilize their audiences in constructive way, they could make an electoral difference at the local level, state level.
Now that I agree. Now that I agree.
Yeah, Pondering. Why don't you pipe up? Why don't you defend your boy over here instead of letting 2 lefties punch your boy in the face repeatedly? Llama Fist brings up an interesting point, though, saying only 53 likes on the stream. That isn't nearly enough. It's true. We're around 140. And by the way, I'm gonna show real quick since we have more people. Guys, we do this every day. Okay, we're bouncing between 80 and 100 and 150. Okay, so you know, I get it. Not everything is spicy Lib and Learn drama. Not everything is a Destiny stream. However, my commentary of talking shit about random people is consistent. Like the stream, share it with your friends, super chats, memberships, fight with people in the chat, in the comments, watch the VODs on Counterpoints. Easy day.
If you agree with me, then you should think it's a big deal that all of them
well,
right
wait
now
a minute. I think you're conflating 2 separate things. I totally agree with you, and I would be shocked if either Pisco or Econoboi disagreed. This idea that if Hutch was more if Hassan, for example, was more overtly pro Kamala Harris or whatever, alongside all the other big creators, could that have made a meaningful difference? I think yes.
Maybe.
And certainly it does from Donald Trump, and you're not pissed at these people.
Well, wait a minute,
I am pissed at
Dave does from Donald Trump, and you're like, oh, well,
whoa. Huge conflation, Hutch. So one thing is, on this specific issue, years away from an election, you're saying my nonchalance at this specific vote and criticism of specific content creators at this specific vote, years away from a presidential election, you're saying my nonchalance at that necessarily I'm nonchalant about Hassan with respect to the presidential election.
Sorry, buddy.
Hassan with respect to the presidential election months before the election. How on earth are you going to justify that massive conflation?
I will. You need to strangle it in the crib right now, because if you have, let's say there's a bunch of like normie liberal creators. Let's say that Destiny's not a normie, but he is liberal, right? Let's say that you got Destiny. Let's say you got Hutch. Let's say that you got Pondering. Let's say that you have, name another half dozen liberal creators, right? And then I think I can easily name the left-wing creators more aggressively. You got Hassan Piker, you got Cenk Uygur, you got Anna Kasparian, you got all of their orbiters, et cetera, et cetera. The whole point is that within the progressive ecosystem, it's normal to say that Democrats are evil, feckless, manipulative, inefficient pieces of shit who just take your vote and run away. And so if you want to win with moderates during the general election, you need to not be that abrasive about people on your same team, and you need to call out their good and maybe criticize their bad, but not call them feckless pieces of shit. And then the same thing with like progressives. If progressives are not in ideological lockstep, you need to say, hey, I think you fucked up on this. This is how I feel about it. But to like effectively accuse AOC of like endorsing genocide, and then as people mentioned in chat, throwing blood at her, fake blood at her office, vandalizing her office, like all that kind of bullshit, yeah, it's going to manifest in increasingly cancerous ways, particularly in a general election. Hutch is fundamentally correct. I'll read what LB says just so I can piss myself off. LB says, nope, you feed that progressive baby the good soy milk and grow the movement. Nope, you strangle that progressive baby in the crib. You go, be normal, be normal, be normal. And you punch them in the face repeatedly. Now, this is a metaphorical baby, not a literal baby, in case that was unclear. You strangle the metaphorical baby, you punch the metaphorical baby.
Because it's not just this. Your instinct is to always be like, yeah, but that's just like the lefties on social media. Bro, they have collective millions of people in their audience.
True.
Millions. They could be doing so much more to help us like stop.
Here's another thing. Oh shit, this is more important. This is the most important thing that I'm going to say all day. We as a Twitch and YouTube political community should be maximizing our advocacy. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars right now. I just don't, okay? I'm paying my bills. I'm getting by thanks to your support. Thank you for your super chats, by the way. I'm getting by, right? But the whole point is that if we had Destiny level incomes, Hassan level incomes, Vosh level incomes, I'm trying to think of another one, Pondering Politics level incomes, then the truth is that we should be carving out 10% of that, and we should be doing canvassing operations, disaster relief, political advocacy within the communities, et cetera, et cetera. And this could be like a left-right thing as well. The Crucible probably makes good money. I'm trying to think of who else. Who on the right wing makes good money and isn't a total piece of shit? I'll have to think about it. But anyways, the right wing also makes shitloads of money on social media. Why aren't we doing, on the right and the left, why aren't we doing political advocacy, canvassing events, and disaster relief? Hutch is fundamentally correct, and it pisses me off.
Fascism. And every time I bring it up, you guys are like, oh, here Hutch goes again.
So I critiqued
problem,
heavily. I critiqued heavily, and oh, by the way, Ogre Boy, I don't know. I think he might be in my Twitch actually. Do you want me to ban him?
No, it's fine, it's fine.
So I critiqued massively people who said, don't vote for Kamala, sit out the vote, the pro-Palestinian people. You see me on my Twitter having Twitter wars with these people. I think they're fucking, shitty opinions, stupid. I've confronted them on.
Yes, Dark King.
On stream, and me being nonchalant about, okay, yeah, this isn't going to matter. I don't really think it's going to have a material effect. It's not to lessen the condemnation. Fuck Hassan. I just want to say it one more time. Fuck Hassan Piker. I hate what he fucking stands for. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, fuck Hassan.
It's bad. What do you want me to say? I want you to actually go after all the other lefties who are saying that AOC is a genocider fucking monster. Yeah, that's what I want you to do.
Hassan, fuck Hassan. You want this virtue signal for me. You want this virtue signal for me. You want me to virtue signal and be like, fuck these people. Fuck them. They didn't vote for Biden. They didn't vote for Kamala. Fuck them. I disavow. All I'm saying is you're crazy if it's going to have a material effect. It's not going to have a material effect. Now, if what you're saying is the purity testing in general, speaks to a broader pattern, a character that is, apt to make them act a certain way, then yeah, that pattern is going to be problematic in the years to come, no doubt. But this particular manifestation of it's not going to fucking matter, bro. It's just.
Ooh, good grief. Griff brings up the fact that he needs that Kyle Kalinske clout. Exactly, dude. Pisco, and I don't know if Econoboi's been on, but I know that Pisco has been hanging out with Crystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske, so he doesn't want to say, oh yeah, let's go after the hard left right now, because he know it potentially burns a bridge with somebody who already has clout and influence. 100%. We all play these games, but it's obvious.
They're going to forget about it.
It is not just Hassan, and we should stop looking at this particular thing in
True. It's also Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball.
A vacuum. This is a systemic problem with that entire media ecosystem. Do you understand that?
So Bad Panada, Hassan. Let's name names. Let's name names. Hassan.
Pull up the tweet. Pull it up.
Which tweet?
The AOC tweet where she talked about her vote yesterday.
Okay,
Let's take a look at the replies and we'll see what we see.
Well, Hutch, I feel like one point that you haven't really responded to is the idea that AOC literally made like this exact same vote like a year and a half ago.
Years ago, yes.
They didn't attack her like this. I don't know what to tell you. They're doing it now.
They did. Wait. The DSA, the National national DSA, the national DSA officially unendorsed and removed her from their slate of candidates because of this exact vote that Econoboi is referencing.
Was it AOC's official account, or was it her press, the AOC updates thing?
I think
let me show.
I'm just a spoiler alert. You're going to see every major leftist content creator.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Just scroll down and see what you see.
All right, so let's see. Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment does nothing to cut off offensive aid to Israel nor end the flow of U.S. munitions being used in Gaza. Of course, I voted against it. What it does do is cut off defensive Iron Dome capacities while allowing the actual bombs killing Palestinians to continue. I've long stated I do not believe that adding to the death count of innocent victims to this war is constructive to its end. That is a simple and clear difference of opinion that's long been established. I remain focused on cutting the flow of U.S. munitions that are being used to perpetuate the genocide in Gaza.
So, look. We got Kyle, Pisco's friend. We got Francesca Fiontini, a freak leftist. We got SDL, who Econoboi I'm sure is boys with, and they probably overlap 80, 90%. So, yeah. Wowman 542 says, can we pause and appreciate Pisco literally embracing the Destiny stance of it's bad, what do you want me to say? Which Pisco from 3 years ago would have condemned. Yeah, but these are his friends. This is his avenue to clout and influence. These are his people, right? And by the way, okay, so I need to make it clear because I'm being critical and I'm kind of being a dick about it. We all play these games, okay? When people criticize Lauren Southern, obviously I minimized her worst attributes and maximized her best attributes because she was my friend. And also, I thought she was funny and I thought she was smart. Same thing with Destiny. I minimized his worst attributes. I maximized his best attributes. And truth be told, even in recent times, there's a gun tuber named the Sandalorian who I love, and he's like, anybody who defends Destiny I think is a piece of shit. And I basically did like, he's neurodivergent, what do you want me to say? Now it's a joke because I'm sweeping for Destiny and I'm kind of criticizing him at the same time, but let's be real, the reason why I phrase it as a joke is because I want to maintain both relationships. I still want to be able to DM Sandalorian, talk to Sandalorian, maybe even do collab content in the future, but I don't want to overly criticize either side, right? So we all do these like clout relationship calculations, but the reason why I'm calling out Pisco in particular is because I feel like Pisco and Econoboi are trying to drag the Overton window left. Hutch recognizes this and he wants to drag it more center, and he's calling out their bullshit because whenever they or their allies try to drag the Overton window left, he's like, I think this is bad for the party. I think you're fucking everybody over. I want it to stop and I'm going to criticize you and call you out. And then Pisco and Econoboi are basically going to say, oh, well, don't call us out because it's bad for the movement overall. So, pretty funny. Good stuff. And somebody's actually saying like the problem with Lib Learn is that Dan King says the problem with Lib Learn is they don't know what direction the Democratic Party should go in. Wanting fighters doesn't mean anything ideologically. Sure, but this is entertaining. You don't want, I think they need another liberal to back up Hutch in these fights. However, I think Pondering should be dad. He should be like the moderator. I think that Pisco and Econoboi should be the more progressive lefty people. And then I think Hutch needs another liberal, not me, to help fight them. And then that'll be a spicy show. You don't want to eliminate the spice. The spice is why we're watching.
Francesca Fiontini, you knew it wasn't going to pass, so why not take a stand against military aid to Israel, even if sponsored by Green? Your progressive colleagues, far more vulnerable than you, stood on business against genocide. You got to buck the liberal Zionist lobbyists in your ear.
You don't need to read all the words. Just scroll down. They're all in there, bro.
Well, I'm curious with this one.
Kyle Kulinski.
Kyle says this is pathetic.
Ratioed her. Kyle Kulinski, one of the most prominent voices in this space, ratioed her and called her pathetic. And you guys don't think
there's Cenk.
Her job more difficult down the line if she wants to make a run at the presidency.
Wait. Did he call her pathetic, or did he say that this is
He
pathetic?
says it's right here. This is pathetic. This
Are
is
we being
definitely different, right?
So Hutch,
pedantic,
Hutch,
do you think?
wait, Hutch.
Are we
Wait,
being
wait,
a bit pedantic,
no,
do you
we're
think?
not. Wait.
Fine,
We're
she
not
called her
being-
action pathetic.
So
Fine,
when
correct myself.
I say that Biden was pathetic when he did exit it out, doesn't mean that I call Biden pathetic. Now, by the way, I do call Biden pathetic, but that's just separate. But like, they're not necessarily the same thing. I've seen Kyle Kalinske criticize people very.
LB says, "Are you a liberal, Connor?" Liberal, if you mean maximum freedom for individuals and viewing politics through an individualist lens, oftentimes, yeah, you could say that I'm liberal. However, I'm also conservative in the fact that I think that Jordan Peterson is fundamentally correct about how human beings should live their lives. I think he's fundamentally correct about mythology and the role of religion. I think that temperance and virtue and all of these things that like Greek and Roman and Christian philosophers have talked about for centuries or millennia, if you don't incorporate that into your life, you're probably going to be a piece of shit. When it comes to fiscal conservatism as well, I think we should balance the budget. Now, that being said, I think we need some level of economic redistributivism and some level of social programs. But I think that's because politics is dominated by anarcho-capitalist fiscal conservative freaks. That's the only reason why we can't have that conversation. It's because of the ghost of Reagan. So there's plenty of things that I'm conservative on. But yeah, if you ask me, do I think that like maximal freedom for human beings is a good thing? Yeah, 100%. I'm a walking contradiction of authoritarian impulses tempered by liberal philosophy.
Partially on specific matters, it doesn't necessarily extend beyond that. So, I want to be clear about something. I don't think that this is.
Ooh, IRI would be a good addition. IRI would be good because, in my opinion, he's just a Hutch clone. That's awesome.
It's like needed criticism. The lefties are going to continue to support her. If she would be on like in a panel between her, Gavin Newsom, fucking Governor Shapiro, who do you think they're going to vote for? Who do you think they're going to vote for? They're going to vote for AOC.
Yeah. So
Herkimer, you're a fucking potato. How about that?
SDL says this is wrong. Jenk says, I know why you voted for it, but just saying Israel needs defensive doesn't address the question.
No, you fucking, I'm going to start using ableist language. As a matter of fact, sorry, Ken. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Jesus. You guys are being fucking retarded again. So lived Christianity, because we already watched this content, because you guys are pieces of shit, is voluntary upward self-sacrifice in order to make the better world. And that the cosmos itself is rooted in voluntary self-sacrifice. Do any of you twats have an issue with voluntary self-sacrifice being necessary? As a matter of fact, I want to see answers. So Herkimer, I'm going to write this down. If I don't see a response to this question, I'm going to be pissed. So let's write this down. Herkimer, Melody, and Rob, answer this question now. Do you think that voluntary, meaning that you choose to do it, self-sacrifice, meaning that you take something that's valuable to you and you give it away in order to realize a better world, do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing? Let's eliminate the religiosity of it and see if you think that most people should be voluntarily self-sacrificial in order to make the world a better place, or if you think they should be selfish Darwinian monsters, because those are the opposing philosophies. So you tell me. And if I don't see an answer from Herkimer, Melody, and Rob about voluntary self-sacrifice, I'm going to be pissed.
Question why we pay for it, why do we owe them anything?
They're all making videos about it. They see one person do it and then they all feel like they have to do it. You know what I mean? Because if
how
they
hard,
don't,
can I ask you something?
like,
how hard are they going in their videos?
They're going hard. They are savaging.
Vlad says, I've heard Connor talk about his dad, so why does he talk about JBP? Because my dad, until the past 5 years, didn't talk about Greek or Roman philosophy, and I like Greek and Roman philosophy.
Her right now, bro. And they're going to do the same thing to Mom Donnie at a certain point. I promise you it's going to happen.
But Hutch, again, I think that there's kind of two things being said here, but these views are ultimately compatible.
Yep.
Look, I think that it's true that she's getting a heap of shit from a heap of leftist creators online, but that's totally compatible with the idea that, look, at the end of the day, I don't think that this represents like a significant set.
Obviously good. That's not profound. Fuck yourself. How about that, Herkimer? We're getting sidetracked. Fuck yourself. We are surrounded by social Darwinist, psychopathic fucking monsters. And you don't think that we need to socially reinforce voluntary self-sacrifice for the good of society? We're the country. Sorry, I'm gonna get pissed. The country is being run by one of the most sociopathic fucking pedophiles to ever exist in the history of the United States. Okay, it's being run by a sociopath pedophile. All the good people who supposedly had morals and conscientiousness and were social conservatives, they've sold out their values for a scrap of power. Marco Rubio, JD Vance, they all sold their souls for a scrap of power. And weirdly, it's the hyper-religious freaks like Pence who didn't sell their souls for a scrap of power, okay? Then, on the left, God bless him, you know, consider him a friend or whatever, you know, my annoying little brother. But we have Destiny, who's effectively saying, in order to fight the sociopaths, we have to become sociopaths. And you don't want to reinforce this social observation? I'm going to say it again. Fuck yourself. How about that?
Back to AOC's political journey or political...
Not at all.
Haterade says they agree. Melody says they agree. Okay, all right, go fuck yourself. How about that? You guys all agree you're just fucking smug pricks. Rob says, voluntary self-sacrifice towards a societal good is a normative good in my view. That's not the basic definition of Christianity, which is a JBP equivocates when talking about it. Okay, you guys can all fuck yourselves. How about that? How about that is when they asked him, what is lived Christianity? He said that is lived Christianity. They asked him if he's a literalist, and then he dodged because he doesn't want to piss off half of his audience. Reinforcing that social norm is important. And if you don't think it's important, I don't know why the fuck you watch my content. All right? Good? Are we good? I think we're good.
Here.
Your instinct is to always minimize this shit.
No.
All of you guys, all three of you, I'm so resolved in this. It's not.
AF Racing says he's right. I said and will continue to say nothing JBP says it's profound and useful. Water making things wet. GG Galaxy Brain. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're surrounded by degeneracy, drug use, sociopathy, psychopathic behavior. And you're saying when somebody comes out and they say, hey, we need to socially reinforce these moral norms, you go, oh, well, we've all heard about these moral norms before. Fuck you, Fedora. Like, listen, I get you. You guys are some of my strongest soldiers. I've seen these people before. AF Racing, Rob, Herkimer. I've seen all you guys before. So, like, I know that you guys are actually, like, you hang out and watch the content and all that kind of shit. But I'm telling you, you're just fucking wrong. You're wrong.
Not even funny.
No,
like,
but your instinct to maximize
whenever I bring it up, you guys are always prone to be like, it's not that big of a deal, bro. It's not that big of a deal.
No,
you
Hutch,
never want to fucking call it what it is.
Hutch,
these people are toxic.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Hutch, they can be toxic and they can, like,
you don't have to respect them. You have to respect the ideas. AF Racing says, guys, we have to respect JBP because he thinks learning to swim is a useful skill. No, AF, you're being obtuse. You're being a pain in my ass. You know that you're pissing me off. So if you're pissing me off, then I'm just going to tell you to go fuck yourself, right? You don't have to respect JBP as a man. I don't care if you respect Jordan Peterson as a man. Respect the idea. The idea is good, okay? If it's good, you promote it. If it's bad, you rip it apart. You twats are so busy being, fucking 2000 IQ, giga-brained, anti-theist Fedora's fucking manifest that you're ripping apart the ideas along with the man. I don't give a shit if you respect the man. Don't shit on the ideas when our society is so obviously this fucked up. Okay? Can we move back to the content, please?
Like you said, they can make her life a bit harder, but that doesn't mean that they are a significant needle mover in left-wing spaces in actually existing. Hutch, you're not even disagree. Do you disagree with anything I just fucking said?
Do you disagree with what he said?
Yes, I completely reject it.
Which part?
Completely rejected
Yes, anonymous chatter.
this notion that these guys don't have an influence in electoral politics.
That's
You're
not
wrong.
what we're saying,
That's not
Hutch.
what
Yes,
We're
you
not
are.
saying
You're
that.
saying-
No, I'm not, Hutch. You can have an
You're
influence.
saying they don't move
and it
the
can
needle
be-
that much. That's what you're
They
saying.
don't. There's no
You're
evidence that
wrong.
there's no evidence that they move the needle that much when it comes to at least like progressive people like AOC. Like, again, I would agree that, look, this is going to be a bitch every time when she goes and gets interviewed by Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball.
Vlad, I'm going to debate Steven about this weekend. I think your understanding of JBP is unsophisticated.
This is going to be a question that gets brought up. It's going to be a criticism of her. People are going to like, oh my goodness, fuck AOC. I'm going to vote for Jill Stein for the 14th time in a row. And that's going to fucking amount to something this time. Like, yeah, that's going to happen, Hutch. But obviously there's a difference between saying that, yeah, a margin of people are going to be upset about this and going to be moved away from her. But to your point, you agree that this isn't aggregately going to hurt AOC because you think this was the politically correct thing for her to do.
Correct.
I know. Right?
Good grief, Griff calls it out exactly. Hutch correctly reads the CAT scan and sees the malignancy in the little lump under the Democrats' chest. The leftists hand wave it. And by the way, this is why Democrats lost. It's because they think that, oh, people see this cancer and it's not a big deal. Listen, you lost throughout the 10s in the culture war because everybody was sick of the HR busybody, DEI, woke progressive bullshit. So you lost in the 10s. And then in the 20s, you went fucking crazy in 2020. And the only reason why you won was because you had a moderate candidate versus an incumbent who was presiding over the worst economic crash since the Great Depression. That's the only reason why Democrats won. And then your solution, you're like, oh, well, we lost in 24. Let's become even more sociopathic. And there's people like Hutch and I who are saying, no, you being progressive sociopathic freaks is why you lost. Don't be sociopathic freaks. And then you go, oh, well, the right wing is being sociopathic freaks and they're winning. Therefore, we're going to double and triple down on being sociopathic freaks. And it's like, no, you're fucking wrong. And when you get hosted by your own petard and when you jump on a fucking rake and it smashes you in the face and it breaks your fucking nose, I'm going to be here to tell you that you're fucking wrong and that you're stupid and that you fucked up. So if you guys lose again, let's say that there's a moderate platform for the Democrats run in the 2028 election cycle and you guys win. Then I'll say, okay, yeah, and I was a part of that. Let's say that you guys triple down on being sociopathic, proto-socialist, fucking anti-social freaks, and then you lose. Then I'm going to say, fuck you, I was right. Okay? So I hope you're ready for that. In 2028, if you guys continue to be fucking freaks and you lose, I'm going to make fun of you. I am going to take a rhetorical steel baseball bat and I'm going to beat the shit out of you with it. I can already do that to MAGA. I can already say that MAGA has lost its value so much that I can rhetorically beat the fuck out of them for sweeping for pedophilia and tanking the fucking economy and fucking over brown people and black people and killing 14 million people. I already have a rhetorical steel baseball bat against MAGA and I will be beating the shit out of them over the next decade. Don't give me a steel baseball bat to beat the shit out of you with. It's that simple. Holy shit. Stop handing me a steel baseball bat.
Oh, no. I didn't tell you that I think that maybe she's not going to win like her next re-election in the House. I said it is going to make her job more difficult in the future if she aspires to higher office. If she wants higher office.
Does it make her hold on, Hutch. Does it make her job 1% more difficult or like twice as difficult?
There's no way that we can quantify this. Hold on. Let's establish a couple things. Do we agree that we're talking about just a couple things?
AF Racing, fuck you. I love you.
So I'll be concise. Do we agree that their collective reach, all of these creators, is millions of people?
Yes.
Yes.
In the United States.
Yes.
Do we agree that the 2016 presidential election was decided by 40,000 fucking votes across 3 states? Do we agree that the 2020 election was decided by 80,000 across 3 states?
Yes.
Do we agree that the 2024 election was decided by roughly 120,000 across 3 states?
I think it's a little more than that, but yes.
I thought it was like 250,000.
Yeah, I think it's
maybe
200.
No, I thought it was.
Yeah.
You might be right about that.
But whatever, hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
The point is, all of these elections have been close, and they have millions of people in their audience. And I can't get you guys to acknowledge how potentially damaging they have been consistently over the years.
This is why, because I want to just be clear about something. It's my prior, and you might disagree with this, Hutch, and this might be where we disagree. It's my belief that the left did not abandon Kamala in 2024. That the left, by and large, stood by Kamala and walked to go vote for Kamala Harris.
Which is so funny because 5 million people didn't show up over Israel and Gaza, and Israel and Gaza, I'm not saying all 5 million didn't show up, but a substantive amount of them didn't show up because of Israel and Gaza. And right here, this is it. This is the exact fucking line of debate. Lefties and progressives were arguing that Biden and Kamala were enabling a genocide in Gaza by being even tepidly supportive of the Israeli state, right? And so what happened is shitloads of people in Michigan and shitloads of people in general were unenthused with the Biden administration. And as a result, 5 million people did not show up. And what do we have now? We have 14 million people dead internationally, projected as the result of cuts to malaria, cholera, and dengue mosquito prevention cuts. We have 3 million people dead from AIDS projected. This is a total of 14 million people over the course of the next 5 years. So congratulations, lefties. You killed 14 million people, you stupid fucks. You have Trump writing Israel a blank check to do whatever the fuck they want. And you have him talking about facilitating the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. So good job. By being unenthusiastic about the lesser of two evils, you fucked over 14 million people to death. And you also fucked over Gaza harder. You fucking idiots. This is the point.
And so given that, the left did not, on average, overall, abandon.
5 million people didn't show up because they were unenthusiastic about the fucking Democrats. And the far lefties helped that.
That given that overall, the left got the message. They grumbled, but they walked their ass to the polls and they voted for the lesser of two evils. They got that message. The left, by and large, did. Not everyone, and I condemn the individuals who did it. And certainly, maybe enthusiasm played some role, but I don't have evidence.
Bud123 says, with hindsight, we understand that Trump is worse on Gaza than Biden Kamala. With foresight, you should have known that.
Evidence that the left cost Kamala the election. So why do I think that there's evidence that materially they're going to cost AOC some kind of election in the future, some hypothetical election? I just don't see them as having that swayability for the left.
I just told you, in an election, a national election where there's 150 million people voting and it's decided by 40,000 votes.
LB says, why don't you blame the people who voted for Trump? I do blame them. They're fucking idiots. They're fucking idiot pieces of shit. I talk about them every day. What the fuck are you talking about?
And you don't even want to entertain the notion that maybe
he's saying that we've not min-maxed lefty support for Kamala Harris, which could be outcome determined.
They actively work against
but Hutch, I think
party.
No. But Hutch, we can agree with all that. Again, these are compatible. Like, for instance, what you brought up earlier, and I thought it was probably the best point that you made.
All right, chill time. Got 130 people. Like the stream. Share it with your friends. Engage in chat so you can give me a heart attack. Watch the VODs, comment on the VODs, love the VODs, make the VODs your best friend. Super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them.
It was the idea that there's evidence to suggest that probably 2 or 3 million people who voted for Biden decided not to vote because of essentially Israel and Palestine was their number one issue. And, this seemed to be a group of overwhelmingly progressive people because, they said that they would have rather voted for somebody like Sean Fain or AOC or something for president. But I think that that's in part one of the big reasons why I say
Leandor MBCR says 90% of the people who call themselves socialists vote Democrat. These people don't matter. Yeah, they matter. They're yanking the Overton window left. Now, maybe you're a progressive, maybe you're a socialist, maybe you're a communist, and you don't care that they're yanking the Overton window left. I do. How about that shit?
Even that criticism I don't think is very good because I don't think that AOC can plausibly be framed to this group of people as someone who's a soft pussy on Israel Palestine. This is somebody who says, look, Israel's committing a genocide. Netanyahu's a war criminal. She'd probably commit to
we would
not allowing
all,
she'd probably commit to
Bud123 says, how do we know that Trump's tendencies on Gaza were non-isolationist with foresight? How about the fact that he moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem? How about he's been Israel's biggest simp for 5 years? How about his fucking nephew is Jared, or what? His son-in-law is Jared Kushner, who is a massive Israel simp. How about all that shit? How about that? How about a broad swath of his base are Christian evangelicals who are massive Zionists? I don't know. I've named half a dozen variables. Pick one of them.
You're making my point for me. She has this strong position on Israel Palestine, and it's not enough for these fucking lunatics.
But
we agree with that.
We agree that it's not enough for online leftist content creators, right? So I would agree with that. But I don't think that in the course of a long campaign, and to Josiah's point, who even knows if she's going to run for president?
I'm going to get some water. You guys are pissing me off.
president. But nonetheless, let's just assume
I love you, but fuck you.
that she is. During the course of the long-term campaign that she's going to be a part of, I don't think that you can plausibly represent to these people that AOC's history is like particularly weak on Israel-Palestine when she has all of these like consistent statements that she's made over time. And like you said, she voted against the bill in the first place. She says she wants to strip offensive aid to Israel. Like, I think for a lot of these uncommitted people, these actually existing voters that decided not to vote for Kamala Harris, to Pisco's point, they overwhelmingly decided to vote for her. But for the ones that didn't, it's not clear to me that there's much evidence to suggest that like this would make the difference between them not voting or voting for AOC. Like, I think they would overwhelmingly vote for AOC at higher margins than Kamala.
Well,
it just seems
to
like
Hutch's point. To Hutch's point, let me ask you this. To Hutch's point,
oh, am I going to get some backup? Holy shit!
I think what Hutch is saying is,
Josiah.
You know, I don't think Hutch would dispute the fact that the left by and large supported Kamala. That'd be a really dumb point, right? Hutch, you agree?
Okay.
The left by and large,
broadly the left,
right? Yeah. So I think what he's saying is he feels that there can be some, you know, some juice that we can squeeze out of that coalition a bit more that would be outcome determinative in close elections.
The opportunity cost.
What?
The opportunity cost. Not just what you lost, but what you could have gained. Is that what you're saying?
Right. That we did not min-max that coalition.
Baka Baridi says, Econoboi doesn't seem to get the main point. We don't care about New York elections where super socialist candidates like AOC and Mamdani can win. We care about purple states. Yes.
Out, and if these leftist content creators would be a bit more reasonable or a bit more temperate in their criticism of AOC, that we could probably get those, you know, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of votes theoretically to make the difference. Do you disagree with that? That there's that we.
Thank you for complimenting my dad with Alzheimer's while I was gone. I appreciate it.
We have not reached our ceiling for optimal.
Of course not. Yeah, I mean, of course, if every progressive content creator played perfect ball and was willing to, you know, be more pragmatic and, you know, think about these things a little bit more long term and sensibly, we would have better like net electoral outcomes. But I think that but I don't think that I've ever said anything differently. I mean, obviously that's true. Hutch,
no,
and
I'm sure Pisco would agree. But hang on,
that's my. Here's the rub, though. Here's the rub, though, Hutch. By that logic, you're going to be hoisted by your own petard, because now we have to moderate our criticism in vision of the optimal strategy. And so for us, like if we're going to apply this lens, like, is the best thing for building a coalition that protects AOC and protects the candidate to attack all these creators, or like in our wildest dreams convince them? So now I think, Hutch, if we're going to apply this lens, is the best strategy for us under this theory, right, which is where we're just reacting for pure outcome determinative nature, is the best strategy for us to attack all these creators and burn our bridges with them? Yes or no?
At this point, I feel like, yeah. At this point,
okay.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
So you think that?
Yeah. I can't speak for you guys. Make your own.
How does that follow?
I can't. You don't need to burn bridges, right? Like I'm not saying you need to like personally attack these people or you know, call them names or whatever, but certainly attack these arguments. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but hang on. I'm attacking these arguments. I attack those arguments. But like, if your point is they need to calibrate themselves to be electoral maximizers, then so do we, right? And if we do that, then we need to be a little calibrated as well, don't we?
Yeah, don't you?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I would sure. Yeah, there's all kinds of considerations here. Like, I'm down with having like a complex kind of like nuanced sort of like approach to this kind of thing. But I guess like what I'm confused about is like I get you guys to concede that these are incredibly close elections, and we already know that the stakes are insanely high. And I just want to like address something you said. It sounded like you were saying like, I want these people to never criticize AOC, but that's not what I'm saying. Like, it depends on how you criticize them and if the critique is actually based in any kind of like pragmatic or realistic or any kind of sense in that manner. Like this is just a stupid critique. It's a dumb critique.
And if you read what they're saying, again, we can go back to the critique. I don't agree with it. So you're shadowboxing me, right? So like, I don't agree with this critique of AOC. I defend my queen AOC, against all these people every day. So we don't actually need to have that conversation again about your argument, which I accept, just like the Manchin thing, right? I accept the Manchin argument. But like, why spend time if we agree on something, right? Like on the Manchin thing, why spend time on it? Like we agree. Like I agree on that. Like I agree on.
Because you have to, like, I would say it needs to be a 90-10, 80-20 split. So, and also plurality of tactics, right? So if Pondering wants to make Trump bad content so he can get paid tens of thousands of dollars a month. Awesome. And honestly, good for God bless him. Get the bag, go off king, kick some ass. You know what I'm saying? If Pisco wants to make anti-MAGA debate content, then God bless him, go for it, king, right? If Econoboi wants to make dry political analysis and justifications for socialism, God bless him. And if Hutch wants to make tepid democratic analysis, good for him. You know, all four of these guys should be proud of their individual content, and it takes a plurality of tactics in order to make a movement work, right? So they should all do it. However, what Hutch believes, and I believe as well, is that these guys are vehicles for a cancer that is going to destroy the left and make moderates not want to participate with the left. And so if Hutch and I feel that way, then we're going to spend some of our time online criticizing the far left, reinforcing the moderate left. I'm going to spend some of my time reinforcing the moderate right against the far right, because that's a worthwhile venture. And I drew you a pretty little picture. So if you would please direct your attention to the screen. We're still at 130 people. I parasocially love you. Like, share, subscribe, dislike, super chats, all that YouTube nonsense. So I drew you a political spectrum. On the left wing of the side, we have the far left. I would consider this to be Vosh, Hassan, the narco-communists, the libertarian socialists, and the tankies. This is the far left. And by the way, they're not a large part of the left-wing coalition. They're maybe 10%. They're just very loud on social media. Then I would say that there's a healthy chunk of progressives, and I would say that they have some overlap with the far left, but progressives I would see more as focusing on social issues. They care about the gays and the transes and the blacks and the browns and the DEI and the getting a female Jedi in the Star Wars movie, right? They're pretty socially and culturally relevant, but their politics are not hard economic politics, right? Then you have liberals, which are the tepid center-left brunch wine moms who think it's good to pay taxes so society doesn't fall apart, and they don't like guns because killing people is bad, right? These are liberals. And so this is the left-wing coalition. And I would say Hutch is in the liberals, and then Pondering Politics is probably between progressive and liberal. And then I would say Pisco and Econoboi are between progressive and far left. And so what Hutch is saying is that, hey, you guys are pandering to the far left and the progressives, and you're not calling them out on their bullshit. So what's going to happen is they are going to expand their territorial gains within the left, and you are going to turn off liberals, libertarians, and maybe some contrarian moderates that you could otherwise attract. Okay? MAGA and the dissident right is probably 60 to 70% of the Republican Party. 55% of the Republican Party unapologetically votes for Trump. An additional 20% of the party votes for Trump while pinching their nose. And then the moderates, the neocons, and the libertarians, they kind of split, but I would say 2-to-1, they split for Trump versus against Trump. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take the progressives who aren't criminally insane. I'm trying to get as many liberals as possible. I'm trying to attract moderate neocons, conservatarians, and libertarians. And I'm trying to change the mind of the contrarian MAGA people. And I'm trying to build this coalition right here. This is the grill hottists. Okay? This is who I want. And so when people say, oh, Connor, you're just a liberal, it's like, yeah, I might say some things that appeal to progressives and liberals, but I reserve the right to say things that are on the political spectrum right here. And if that pisses you off, tough shit. That's my personality. That's what I believe in. That's what I care about. And you're saying, why even fight for these people? Because these people are useful idiots for MAGA. It's because if we let these people run the country, they're going to destroy the fucking country. Okay? So I agree with Hutch. I don't want to see this coalition grow. Fuck this coalition. No offense. You know, you can be in my chat. I might even say that I love you or whatever. But if you're like a trans-maxing anarchist who wants to sell like black market hormones to teenagers, fuck off. You're dumb as fuck. If you're a libertarian socialist or an anarcho-communist, you could be a good person, but your political analysis is dog shit. If you're a tanky, you can fuck yourself. Like, I hope you get run over with an actual tank. I hope you die, right? So fuck these people. Fuck these people. This is what I want to reinforce. Does that make sense? I drew you a nice little picture.
Your pragmatic argument.
In this case, your instinct was to minimize. It's not that big of a deal. You're getting worked up. You're getting worked up over these lefties again. Is what you guys tell me. That's what you guys tell me, right? Don't shake your head no.
Well, actually, you started this fight with us. You picked this fight with us.
Well, I can explain why.
I'm just expressing my opinions. That's what's going on here. Why would you shake your head no? That's what you do tell me week after week. Here's Hutch getting triggered by the lefties again. You do say that.
No,
true.
No, Hutch, you could whatever you wanted. I don't think I've ever said that. I mean, maybe Pisco, but
I might have said that.
What I've said though is I'm making a very descriptive claim right now.
Paul is saying, I don't even know if alt media is that influential. Tell that to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is a power player in the right wing. 10 years ago, he was some dickhead with 50 grand a year from the Koch brothers in order to start fraternal chapters within college and universities in order to motivate specifically young men and to motivate the right wing into being the young right wing into being active in politics. And right now they're one of the most vital and active part of politics. And it was said that that was politically impossible.
You can disagree with the empirics, right? But I'm just saying that, look,
fortune favors the bold.
To the extent that I'm like minimizing it, right? I think that it's just like fully appropriate to minimize it because I don't think that this will actually, create like a very, very large headache for AOC in the long term. And, again, I could
jazz hands for West Coast girl. She's right.
Fake blood outside of her office and called her a genocide supporter.
We condemn it.
No, but I'm just saying there are very real consequences to this shit.
Hutch, there were people during Mamdani's election who showed up to his events and said, fuck you for accepting AOC's endorsement. She's a genocide supporter. She supports the Iron Dome. This was literally equipped during Mamdani's campaign. And people like that existed during Mamdani's election. People like that existed when AOC ran for re-election in 2024. People like that existed when Bernie's
progressives win elections. Therefore, this is not that big of a deal. What is this logic?
No. Hutch, what the fuck? Obviously, look, Hutch, I'm not saying this might not make, 0.5% difference or something like that. I'm just saying that I don't think that it's going to be like a huge, broad, like, AOC's political career is going to be like substantially cut back by this. Like, that's all I'm saying. And I think that's actually pretty, that's a pretty fair read of these things, if you ask me.
But you just conceded that these are close elections. So even if it did move the needle 0.5%, that could be outcome determinative. But so Hutch, in my mind, it should not just you shouldn't just have this instinct to be like, well, that's just them being.
But
them.
Isn't burning the bridge? Isn't pissing them off?
That they do this. It should piss you off because you.
Whatever 4690 says, and sorry, LB, you're just distracting. You're asking me about random progressive policies. Sorry, that's not the conversation we're having right now. Whatever says, if you think Vance is less MAGA than Trump, then why do you oppose him? Because he sold his soul for power. He was willing to kill 14 million people in order to save 0.16% of the budget, which means he's a vile, sociopathic fucking lizard person. What's another reason? Oh, yeah, he was like a never Trump guy who actually had some level of principles, and then he sold his soul in order to become a part of MAGA. He's a political pragmatist. He's a chameleon. That's why. Same thing with Marco Rubio. I liked past tense Marco Rubio, and now the only thing that makes me happy about Marco Rubio is watching him on television where he's staring into the distance with a 1,000-yard stare because he's so fucking depressed that he sold his soul for power. That's the only thing that makes me happy about Marco, is the fact that there seems to be a conscience in there screaming to get out because he obviously sold his soul for power.
You like this candidate and you want to see her succeed.
Yeah,
that's why I'm like, why aren't you angry that this happens?
So
I can want me to respond or is that?
I was gonna say, so I do get pissed when online content creators, including the Vanguard or whoever it is, from Brianna Joy Gray to the Vanguard, indicate that they're not going to, when push comes to shove between themselves or between a Democrat and a Republican, back the Democrat. That is really frustrating. Yeah.
Oh shit! I kind of have to pay attention. I'm still paying attention to chat because chat's popping off. But I do need to pay attention to this because they argue about the Vanguard being more proximate allies than moderate right wingers, and this it could be accurate. It pisses me off to no fucking end. It really does.
It does piss me off. Of course, it pisses me off. But for me personally, because they are the more proximate teammate, I keep my focus on the right. And I think the next part of the conversation, which we don't have time to get into because I've got a hard out in 15 minutes, is, and maybe this is for the next time we discuss on Lib Learn, is what do you think is the optimal use of time here? Because, should you dedicate your entire time? Should we dedicate our entire times to?
No, plurality of tactics. You focus on Trump bad content so you make so much fucking money that you can help your poor bros out. You make debate content because, let's face it, Pisco is entertaining while he's being an asshole. You focus on dry economic shit because that's your fucking powerhouse. Hutch focus on fucking normie lib shit, but on a ratio, I would say 3-1. Hutch should probably do liberals good, liberals good, far left bad. That should be the ratio.
Critiquing the left, or are you failing?
Or using them?
Wait a minute.
Well,
I'm not. No, I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm asking you, right? Because I think part of your frustration is you don't think that we criticize.
Melody, if you're saying bro takes forever to make a point, if you're talking about me, you can fuck off. I'm verbose. If you're talking about somebody else, awesome. I agree with you. Fuck that guy.
Is that we openly criticize the left enough, the dissident left, Francesca Fiorentini and Kyle and the Vanguard when they oppose Democrats.
That's exactly
I would want to know. I would be curious what you think the optimal timeshare of that would be.
I can't give you a percentage of time.
I understand, but and I'm not asking you for a specific percentage, but like what sort of things would you like to look at? And also, is your own approach open to critique? Because if you're out here slugging with these people, calling them stupid or whatever, are you actually persuading them, or are you causing them to double down?
You need me in that mud.
Well, wait a minute.
You want me down in that mud. You need me in that mud. Somebody's got to do it.
No.
Somebody's got to fucking do it.
Maybe.
Hold on.
Maybe you can make the case. Wait a minute. Maybe you can make the case that somebody. You can make the case that somebody needs to be critiquing these arguments. But is your approach optimal? Are you too combative? Are you too are you blocking?
I know, all I can
is it
tell
bad to block people like Ogre Boy instead of having persistent conversations with him and try to
fuck Ogre
He's
Boy.
out of, I don't want him in the coalition.
Right.
Do your own party. Do your own thing.
But isn't that suboptimal? Isn't that suboptimal that you're shutting down?
You're cheating.
Rob, you're saying that you want me to watch Rick Roderick content and break it down? Super chat, bro. I've done super chat content before. So if you have a fat paycheck, pay me a couple of dollary dues and I'll add it to the docket.
Because you're giving them good faith, bro.
I don't know who Roderick is.
It's not good faith. Why are you doing this? Why are you saying he's persuadable? He gets off on this fucking shit. You understand? He's not.
So I'm confused. What do you think? So you think that shitting on these content creators will convince their audience to vote to back you? So if I like Hassan and you come in and act like
I get emails all the time about this. I'm just telling you, behind the scenes, I get more emails now saying thank you for pulling me out of that thing than I ever did with MAGA. That's just my personal experience. And I just want to rewind the clock a second ago because you said the Vanguard are what did you say? We're in close proximity to them, and
they're more proximate ally than right.
Dog.
Pondering is top left, Hutch is bottom left.
Do you guys understand? When they came on our podcast last week, they accused the Democratic Party of being a rotating villain who secretly don't want to do anything for voters.
We pushed on them, but they voted for Kamala.
How are these people allies when they're telling their audience?
They're calling.
You're not hearing what. So this is where you're not hearing what I'm saying. I said that they are more.
I need to do my drawing again because this is going to piss me off.
Proximate allies than the right, and they are. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, and you're fucking wrong about this. I'm right, and you're wrong. You will never, ever be able to refute it. It is a perfect position. The Vanguard are more likely. Shut the fuck up. The Vanguard are more likely to vote. The Vanguard,
proximity than full-throated MAGA.
Are you serious?
Okay, Hutch makes a fucking joke where he says that Rob Noor is closer to an ally than the Vanguard people. I'm going to redo my drawing before I do commentary on it. but me, you fucking idiots. My mom, you fucking idiots. Like, there are the Liz Cheney. As a matter of fact, let me pull up my list. I have a fucking list right here. Sorry for using so many F-bombs. Sorry, Mom. Where's my list of Republicans? We got Ben Shapiro, critical of January 6th and the tariffs. Now, does he still sweep for Trump? Absolutely. Jordan Peterson, I feel like, has fallen to the dark side, but he could probably be rehabilitated into waking up. And he at least admitted that there was a psycho right. Kinzinger lost his career because he was willing to go against Trump. Cheney has a fraught career. She might have lost her career because she went against Trump. Romney, Massey fights them on fiscal issues. Ron and Rand Paul fights them on fiscal issues. Pence is one of the most principled people on the planet because he had every incentive in order to go with the stolen election, and he chose his allegiance to the Constitution over his allegiance to Trump. Pence is an American fucking hero. I don't care how many gays he electrocuted. And then Bush has come out with Obama in order to fucking support PEPFAR in all the programs that are getting cut. And then you have Vance, who a decade ago was a never Trump Republican. So you have people who have pushed against the Trump agenda, who have pushed against Trump, and they are closer than a Marxist fucking Leninist. Okay? Marxist Leninists want to use the Democratic Party in order to seize power for themselves, in order to normalize socialism and communism. You can use them for votes, but they are not your allies. Effectively, there's a study out there that says that house cats, if house cats were capable of eating human beings, they would. Okay? If house cats were larger, they would eat human beings. Okay? So, far left people are house cats. And you're saying, oh, they're cute. We can pet them. We can rub their belly. But what Hutch is saying is that some of these cats, if you feed them too much, they become lions and they will eat your fucking face. He is correct.
Who voted for the fucking Democrats in the last election, Hutch?
And
so did I, you fucking dumbass. And so did my mom. Pondering's not dumb. He's actually very smart. I'm just being spicy.
Again, I win, you lose, because Rob Noor voted for Trump and the Vanguard voted for Kamala. You fucking vindicated my point.
Josiah, I think we misheard. Josiah, we misheard. Hutch, I know that you didn't say, and you didn't say that Rob Noor is a better ally to you, right? I'm not being serious.
Yes. I'm saying that Rob Noor is closer because
he did say it. He did say it.
No, I'm not being serious. I'm saying like because he's been willing to like criticize him on the Epstein stuff or whatever. He's like closer to me than like MAGA. You know what I mean? But do you understand the problem of content creator?
Wait, what's your wait? Hang on. What's your problem of a content creator about Rob Noor?
I'm trying it bigger this time.
Joke. It literally doesn't matter. Do you understand the significance or the meaning?
He's farming us, because he knows that these debates do well on his channel. He's farming us.
The impact that a content creator has when they go and they make a video, and every single time they open their mouth about the Democrats, they're telling their audience that the Democrats are just as evil as Republicans. They just hide it better. They're rotating guns
saying that.
to do that. Yes,
wait a minute. Hey, listen
what
to me.
are
Please
you
listen
talking
to me.
about?
Listen to me. As somebody
he literally said that in the last week, and I can't get you guys to notice this. You know, did it just go one ear?
I didn't hear it.
Out the other?
I didn't hear it.
They literally said that Joe Biden didn't want to do anything for his voters. They literally said that.
Again,
but
okay.
They said in that conversation, and they've said elsewhere, some genuinely unhinged, stupid shit. I will not dispute that. I will not. When I said that Biden couldn't govern by executive order the way that Trump can because Trump has a sympathetic Supreme Court and Biden doesn't, and Zach, whom I like, responded with, I hear what you're saying, but I don't give a shit. Like, that was dumb. That was just objectively stupid.
That's insane.
But wait.
Okay, I want to make this point, and it's gonna piss me off, but I'm gonna make it anyways. So, what Josiah is saying, which can be descriptively true, is that Hutch is a lib. He views himself as a progressive, so let's just go ahead and put him like on the lib progressive axis. Let's put Hutch right here. Okay, I think Josiah is pretty progressive, so let's put him here. All right, then I would say Pisco's probably around here. And then Econoboi is a socialist, but he doesn't talk about killing people, so I'll put him right here. And then I think the Vanguard is hiding their power level, so they're about here. Okay? So what Pondering is saying is that I share more in common with these people than I do. Let's say that Rob Noor is part of the contrarian right, where he is a pretty big MAGA dick sucker, but he will still criticize MAGA every now and then. Let's say that this is Rob Noor. What he's saying is, I am closer to the Vanguard than I am to Rob Noor. But what Hutch is saying is that I am closer to Rob Noor because he can criticize Trump and he doesn't spend endless amounts of time shitting on the Democrats, although he does shit on the Democrats all the time, but he will at least acknowledge reality. Okay? And then let's say this is me. All right? Let's say that I'm a neocon. I'm very close to the left, but I still, I still want my chud takes. Okay? Hutch and I are infinitely closer than Hutch is to the Vanguard boys, and I am closer to Josiah than the Vanguard boys. And so what Hutch wants you to realize is that if you pander to these people and if you play soft with these people, you lose these people. It's about the coalition that you want to build. I'm arguing for the Grill Hottest coalition right here. It's going okay. We have a decent community that gives me plenty of super chats, and they're very nice, but we're a very small community compared to everybody else because the contrarians know that it's easier to pander to MAGA than it is easier to pander to this coalition. And then these people, when they talk to these people and have normal conversations with these people, they're accused of being traitors and vice versa. So this is my frustration. This is the project I want to build. This is what I want to build right here. I want to take non-insane progressives. I want to take good liberals. I want good libertarians, good moderates, and good neoconservatives to ally in order to push out the far left and fight against MAGA. This is what I want. Okay? And I hope that this is big enough that you can see it. Okay?
Does it need to be more than dumb?
But they voted for Kamala Harris, unless they're lying. They voted for
Hutch is correct.
Kamala Harris, and they have said they've done two other things.
That Trump is worse.
And they lay into Trump now. Their focus is like their whole beef with Cenk Uygur is not because he's pro-Democrat. It's because he's too friendly to MAGA. And so, yes, they are more proximate allies to the Democratic coalition than somebody on the right. Certainly than somebody compared to Rob.
Yes.
I'll take the vote, but you're saying like they're allies, but all of these people say the same thing about the Democratic Party.
I said they're
they
more
also wait, but you can't even, your mind can't even fathom the possibility that someone just because they say they voted for someone.
Tell me more, guy who compared the Vanguard to Rob fucking
You're getting hung up on a stupid.
Dark King says, if the Vanguard are my ally, the left is so cooked. You have to understand that Dark King is part of the silent majority. Dark King, Eben, me, all that kind of stuff. I'm a very loud part of the silent majority. But the truth is that there are plenty of moderates that you are going to lose by allying yourself with Marxist-Leninists. If you say Marxist-Leninists are part of our coalition, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Joke, because you don't want to confront my point because you know I'm fucking right. Like you can't even fathom the possibility that like just because they said that they voted for someone, that doesn't mean that they can't do damage every fucking day by saying stupid shit like the Democrats are evil and they.
Ooh. Wowman says Rick Roderick was a well-known philosophy professor in the 80s who, like JBP, made philosophy and big picture morals understandable and digestible without resorting to religion. Based.
Like Joe Manchin is like
should we do?
He's like a deliberate plot.
Right.
So all I'm asking, you don't need to spend 20% of your day.
Why not?
10%.
Why not?
Listen to what I'm saying. You don't need to spend a certain percentage, but stop hand waving it when it happens. Stop.
True.
Doing this like minimizing, like it's not that big of a deal. They're just fucking, they're just like blowing steam off. It is what it is.
Why shouldn't we be exclusively punching left? Why even bother?
Right.
You shouldn't. That's a misspeak. You shouldn't be exclusively punching left. You should just be calling out bad behavior on the left so you don't lose moderates.
Punching right. Why shouldn't we just exclusively punch left?
Well, we have to talk about MAGA, obviously.
Why? Because people are going to vote for Democrats, probably for the most part, aren't going to vote for MAGA,
Why
right?
do you think I say that we need to talk about MAGA? Why do you think? We're creators that cover politics. They come to us to find out what is happening that day. Is there a bill getting passed? Or is there something that Trump did with the executive authority? What's happening over here in the Texas legislature? Like, people come to us because they want us to, like,
so where's our time best
information
spent, Hutch? I think that basically when confronted with these arguments, we do disagree with them. Sometimes, like, probably more politely than you would want us to, right? Is that basically we're too polite when we disagree with the Vanguard on, like, the student loan stuff and the mansion point? Is that approximating your concern?
Yes.
I'm not trying to trigger. No. I'm not trying to trigger.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
No, but is one of the problem? No, is one of the ways it manifests is that when we disagree with the Vanguard, that we're a little bit too polite about it. I'm genuine.
Yes.
I am not being facetious. Yes. Right. So you want us to be a little bit more combative with these people, and so when I'm on, breaking points, or when I'm, like, talking to Kyle, to be like, why the fuck did you say this to AOC?
You don't need to say it like that, but it needs to be more. Why did you say this about
AOC?
You don't need to say, like, fuck. You don't need to do that, but, like, certainly more assertive and less.
This sounds like what we said about Joe Biden, by the way, where, like, Joe Biden should, like, be publicly signaling and, like, okay, he doesn't have to full on condemn Joe Manchin, but, like, if you understand what you're doing, you're kind of doing the Goldilocks thing that we were kind of arguing, that there are ways that Joe Biden can improve his rhetoric and his, we
don't have time to unpack just how stupid your arguments were last week.
Why is that comparison stupid? Actually, wait, no. What can you say?
No, the whole premise with the thing about, like, you guys never even demonstrated. You guys never even demonstrated that Trump's strategy of bullying people is better than Biden. You never even demonstrated that to begin with. So you were asking me to say, like, well, why shouldn't we do the thing that Trump is doing, without even establishing that it's better? Like, Joe Biden's track record.
Hutch, get it, dude. I fucking hate this chat. This chat pisses me off. Hutch is fucking kicking ass, and they don't recognize it. Fuck them.
Record was objectively better. Like, his strategy was clearly better than Donald Trump, and you're.
Oh, and sorry, Razzle says the singer from Alice in Chains, Lane Staley, when he died, his cat ate his face before he was discovered. Seriously. Yeah. Hutch is pointing out that right now the far left are house cats, that if liberals were to die, they would eat their face, and that if you feed them, they will become big cats and they will eat your fucking face, which is true. Then, what the fuck else? Hutch is right. Hutch is cooking. Fuck this other chat. Fuck the Lib Learn chat.
Asking me the stupid fucking question about, like, why doesn't he bully people?
So did you have the impression the question was, as between Trump's strategy on net and Biden's strategy on net, who produced the most legislation? Was that your impression of what the question was about? No, what we were talking about?
Why doesn't Biden similarly bully his own party? That's what you said. That was the whole argument.
Is part of that analysis a comparison between the legislative accomplishments between the two individuals? Is that what you took from that?
Yes, of course. Why wouldn't that be a part of the analysis?
So the question is, in fact, are there things about pressuring from the party that we can learn from Biden? That is not saying or asserting or at all implying that the better strategy on net for legislative accomplishments is to hook, line, and sinker by Trump over Biden. It is not at all asking for us to do a deep examination on the overall legislative track records. It's asking a much more narrow question, which I don't know how we haven't been able to, like, get this to stick.
Sorry, there's this random comment from Fung Dark who says Hudge, HUDGE, is when he's 50 pounds heavier. Yo, if y'all do that to me, if you come up with a fat nickname that plays off of my name, I'm a fucking go on Ozempic, bro. I'm a develop anorexia. That's fucking crazy. Hudge did lose weight over the past year. He was, like, skinny fat for a little bit. And so over the past 2 years, we actually talked about this in Milwaukee. He started taking his health a little bit seriously, and he lost a lot of weight. But bruh, if you called me Hudge, a combination of my name with the word fudge, I think I'd fucking kill myself. That's crazy. That is crazy.
are there specific
This is not my
things
problem. You guys are not understanding what's going on here.
So there's a narrow question, which is, did
Pasajero for $2 says, do miniature painting skills translate to MS Paint? No, my mini painting skills are substantively better. I could also draw you guys a better thing. You keep saying like, oh, he's using MS Paint wrong. I use Photoshop, bitch. I can make you a beautiful drawing. It's just going to take forever. I'm just trying to get the idea across.
I didn't leave things on the table with respect to his optics and communication? And your answer to that is, of course, yes, he did, right?
No. We were very specifically talking about the tactic of bullying. Okay. And if we're gonna explore like why didn't you adopt this thing that Trump does, you have to establish that there's value there. If you just look at the facts, it demonstrates very clearly that Trump's strategy of bullying people, it doesn't work. It doesn't work the way that Biden's does. And on top of that, in both terms, Trump had 3 votes to lose in the Senate. He had 3 fucking votes to lose in the Senate. A 50-50 is a totally different dynamic.
So it logically necessitates, if I say that there are aspects that Trump should borrow from, that Biden should borrow from Trump in terms of cohesiveness of the party, that there are some elements, or not even really of Trump, but we're arguing for our own thing and his own style to do his own thing. But even assuming that were the framing, that there are some, in some ways, that Biden could be more of a bully or be more active or be more communicative, that you think that necessarily implies that we think that Trump on net, his strategy is preferable to Biden's, and we would need to demonstrate to you, in order to do this, we would need to demonstrate to you actual proof that Trump's overall strategy is more accomplishment, it's got a better record than Biden's overall strategy. You think that one of those things implies the other, that we would need to show you that Trump has been more successful overall than Biden? You think that's what the conversation is about?
No, you have to.
Thank you, Kay. The 3 of them don't understand that there's a large population that doesn't like tactics. Hutch is the only one here living in reality. I'm with you, Kay. KO points. Rob says, Connor left a comment in the content suggestion chat on the Discord. If you ever watch it in your free time, possibly too remedial for you, but fantastic. Well, thank you. Thank you for the recommendation.
Demonstrate any value. You have to demonstrate any value to like the bullying thing.
Yeah. And I think we're going in circles. I mean, we're just going to go over whether it's a significant value to improve your polling numbers, and whether we think that Biden left cards on the table by in terms of optics and communications with respect to his polling numbers. And you're going to say he didn't leave any cards on the table, and he couldn't have been more communicative, and he couldn't have been better in terms of his rhetoric.
Different thing altogether than like should he have been harder on Manchin and Sinema, bro?
So listen,
different thing.
I know that this is like, it is now demonstrated. I know it was threatened earlier, but now it's demonstrated that this is going to be a recurring topic of conversation, because we didn't talk about anything in the title, and that's fine. But when this comes up again, I will want to explore what we all believe would be a better use of our time as content creators with respect to focus and why. And I think that's interesting. If we really believe what we believe about the left coalition and where like we should ascribe use of our time, I'd like to explore that more, because Hutch, obviously I don't watch all of your streams from like start to finish, but I know like your VODs, you dedicate most of your VODs to punching left. Almost all of my VODs,
yeah,
like my
that's
videos.
my project right now for sure.
Yeah. So mine is punching right.
Yeah.
No, I understand. So I will want to interrogate that more, because I want to know.
Josiah, you twat. Listen, I love Josiah. Josiah and I are boys, but talking about how we should spend our time and spend our energy, I think that if cumulatively, let's say that all these content creators are successful. Let's say that Hutch makes 80K, 100K, whatever. I know Josiah makes a good amount of money. Let's say that Pisco gets his channel off the ground. He starts making a good amount of money. Econoboi's content is more dry, so he's always going to lag, but the other 3 could prop him up, right? Let's say that they all start making good money. I start making good money, right? Then what I would say is we take 10% of our revenue, which should add up to tens of thousands of dollars. We do a community meetup once a quarter. Every 3 months, we do a community meetup. And I think every single year, at least one of them should be disaster relief. So as an example, the Western North Carolina mudslides or the Texas floods or something like that. We pick one that's big. We show up. We give people food. We give them water. We help them move debris off of their houses, et cetera, et cetera. And if they just ask us who we are and what we're doing, we just say, hey, we're from the Twitch and YouTube political community. You know, these guys are more liberal. This guy is a progressive. This guy's a socialist. I'm a, you know, conservatarian, center right, never Trump guy. This is Destiny. Ignore him. He's, you know, he's looking for dead children to make fun of. And and then we just walk around helping people, right? And it's good press for us, and it gets the community engaged, and hopefully it does some real world good. I would 100% want to do that. And then we should also do canvassing operations. Maybe there will be a moderate Republican candidate who actually does well that I will vote for on an individual label, but on an individual basis, and I will advocate for through my platform. But the truth is, until we have a moderate Republican who's popular, it's dominated by MAGA. So, and MAGA is, in my opinions, and like evil. They're projected to kill 14 million people. They're promoting ethnic cleansing in Israel. They are like trying to fracture the Constitution of the United States. This is evil. This is against our country. So until then, I will canvass for liberals. I will canvass for progressives if they're not evil, right? So anyways, chubby points. Fuck you guys. Chowder points. Chubby points. Oh, fuck y'all. Oh, fuck y'all. That's evil. I'm going to go kill myself in a minute. I'm going to text Josiah about that. I'm going to text him about that in a bit. You guys are dicks.
Know that you've done the introspection, like, okay, listen, you know, when the left picks a fight with the more right, you know, the liberal side of.
All right, everybody is saying that Hulk Hogan is passed. Let's give it up. Give it up for Hulk Hogan. He was a dissident right-wing king, known for having the skin of a hot dog, blonde, silken hair like a Chinese man, and saying the N-word on video camera while sleeping with a black woman. And I think his wife was pretty attractive. Hulk Hogan wife. He's had 3. So yeah, for the 1980s or whatever. Yeah, these girls, you know, rip to the king. Good for him. You know, he married and dated several beautiful blonde women. Hulk Hogan daughter. It's okay. I can Google her because she's older than me or the same age. I forget. Brooke Hogan. If you're into kind of masculine blonde chicks who could probably beat the shit out of you, Brooke Hogan is a nice cup of tea. Rip to the king. Rip to the king.
The coalition, that's not good. But when liberals pick a fight with the left, that is a better use of time. I want to know more about it. And I understand you can't assign a percentage, but I will want to.
I never said anything about like you're talking about like punching left right now. I never said they can't criticize liberals. Do it, but it's no fair criticism.
I think what Josiah's saying is like if you were ascribing a negative moral value to the left critiquing libs from the left wing perspective, usually because you disagree with like the optics or the tactics or the fundamentals,
the substance,
of it, right?
Yeah, the substance.
And by the way, he who must not be named brings up a very important point. Id poll deeply damaged the American left, and now the reactionaries have been adopting id poll terms in terms of white and Christian nationalism. Reactionaries react. Yeah, dude. The normies, the moderates, the liberals were saying, hey, don't open up this intersectionality id poll bullshit where you say, as a white man, you need to sit down and shut up. And as a black woman, trans and disabled, I have the right to speak right now, and you have to sit your white ass down and listen. And a bunch of liberals and moderates came out and they were like, not only is this language off-putting, it's fucking evil, and it's opening up Pandora's box of bullshit. And what do we see now? We see fucking dissident right-wing freaks who are infecting the right, effectively saying, as a white man, this is my country. You're a brown immigrant. Go fuck yourself. And that's normal on the right now. So thanks, guys. Thanks for the fucking id poll. You opened up a box that we tried to close 50 fucking years ago, and you opened it back up, so now we can do even more evil shit. Thanks, dicks.
The substance of it.
Case by case.
Yeah, it could be case by case. I'm not. You're a nuanced guy, Hutch, and I do love you. You're my. You are my dog. You're my boy. But I think what Josiah's saying is like, doesn't that same critique flow backwards? That why is it like very problematic for the left to swing to the right to the libs, but not problematic for the libs to swing left to the left?
You guys.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna need to tease that out more because
I never said don't criticize liberals, but if your criticisms are fucking stupid, or even worse, if your criticisms are that
what they're saying is, how much of your time and energy should you spend on lefty infighting? I love spending my time on lefty infighting because it's interesting and it's compelling content. However, Josiah and Pisco and Econoboi are trying to shame Hutch for saying we're too busy. We should be fighting the right.
Democratic Party is evil and they don't actually want to like give you healthcare.
With respect, I didn't say that you said that you can't ever criticize liberals. This is what I'm talking about.
No, you said that there was like a double standard. Like, oh, it's interesting. You think you can punch left, but then you get upset. That
no. What I'm saying is you do punch left. You take issue often when the left punches more to the right.
To the right.
I will want to explore that more when, where it's permissible, to what extent. That's not me saying that you think that you can't ever criticize liberals. I'll say it. I'll do the Pisco thing. I will repeat myself. I am not saying that you are saying that you can't ever criticize liberals. I want to
gaslight. You guys gaslight me. I swear.
I want to.
Hang on. This is going to be
skin of a hot dog, hair of a silken Chinese man. Nice. Can I have a water refill, please, with sugar on top?
This is going to be a great.
You guys gaslight me, bro. You're like, oh,
what did I just say?
It's interesting that you don't like it when they punch right, and I'm like, I never said,
bro,
don't punch right or whatever.
Wait, I didn't say that you said that. I didn't say that you said that. What are you talking about? I'm saying
Pisco did, and now you're gaslighting me. You're like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
No. Chonker points, cheeseburger points. Listen, if anything, it's like Mexican points. It's like taco points. It's like quesadilla points.
Oh, there's a negative.
LB says, name one evil progressive in Congress or public office anywhere. Rashida Tlaib. She's a Somali nationalist who, I'm just going to give you the talking points, who married her brother in order to cheat on immigration, and she constantly talks shit about this country. Fuck Rashida Tlaib. How about that?
I'm on to you, bro. I'm wise to your act.
Hutch, I actually, listen, I don't take it personally. I love all of my Lib Learn co-panelists. I love my socialist Econoboi, and we should interrogate and talk about what our maximum strategy. Because I want to hear your criticism, Hutch. If you think that we should spend more time attacking lefties, I'm open to that.
You shouldn't. Josiah should do Trump bad content. Pisco should do lawyer debate brain MAGA bullshit. Econoboi should talk about economic policy, and Hutch should do a 70-30 split. 70 criticizing the right, 30 criticizing the left. Boom, there you go.
I love attacking attacking lefties.
Stop Googling a dead man's wife. Well, he had 3 of them, so
But recently, I've been trying to focus on the MAGA administration, but maybe that's wrong, and maybe you're right. And I'm open to that conversation.
I said it during this podcast.
West Coast girl asks, do Chinese people have silky blonde hair? No, but let's go ahead and pull this up. This is probably the most important thing that I'm going to show you today. Hulk Hogan hair. Okay, so look at it. It's thin and it's silky. All right, look at that. If you haven't looked at it, look at your screen right now. Now I'm going to pull up Chinese hair. I should probably pull up a man. Chinese man hair. Look, it's thin and it's silky. So the whole point of this is that Hulk Hogan doesn't have stereotypical Anglo hair. He has silken, smooth Chinese man hair. It's an It's Always Sunny reference, in case you were wondering where I got that from.
Yes, I said it like 3 times. I said
I'm open to you. I'm just saying
I'm not saying that you need to like spend 50% of your time talking to them. Like
Beef Supreme says, it's sad. My brother was born with muscular distribution. I think you might be trying to say dystrophy. Hulk Hogan said, came to our house for Make-A-Wish and gave him his first wheelchair. I'll forever love the Hulk. Yeah. Just because he has bad politics can't mean that you don't love the man.
there's a role for like Josiah. There's a role for you 100% focusing on MAGA. That's valid. It's completely valid.
Fuck you guys for continuing to come up with fat names. Jesus Christ.
All I said was stop hand waving and minimizing the things that happen. And if you like AOC and want her to succeed, that stuff should bother you. It should be like, quite frankly, it should piss you off.
Eben, we'll watch Hunter Biden after this.
Is my point.
It does.
Right, and I'm curious how, like, because we the three of us believe we are pissed, but we want to know how you think it should be reflected,
manifested,
in terms of volume, of content. And no, it's like, I think it's a perfectly reasonable question to ask. I am
only insecure white men feel that way. Blame Republicans for the plight of white men. Yeah, LB, that'll fucking definitely work with the center left and center right. 100%. Just walk up to a West Virginian guy with like pancreatic cancer whose dad died in the fucking mines and he's been working at the Dollar General for 40 fucking years, and just go, oh, you voted for Trump? It's because you're insecure. Are you fucking shitting me? LB, that's like the dumbest electoral fucking rhetoric that I've ever heard. And by the way, you're not alone. Plenty of progressive thinks that that's the tact. Just you know, a bunch of pissed off white men who are seizing power in this nation. You know what will get them to calm down is telling them that they're comparatively privileged to black people and Hispanic people. That'll get them to calm down. That'll get them right where you want them. That'll get them voting Democrat. Are you fucking high?
Genuinely interested in what you think is the more optimal approach.
I didn't hear any of you guys pissed off about this.
Well,
none. Like none of you guys.
Today?
Were pissed off.
Right.
So I want to be clear.
yes.
I just want to say I am not pissed off. Okay, and the only reason I'm saying that, okay, is because again, I don't actually my
Fast and Bulba says, why are they protecting the far left from criticism? Because they think it's a waste of time, because you need to be building a center-left, far-left coalition to show up in the midterms. So they don't care if the far left is behaving poorly because they know that they need them to show up for the election. Hutch's argument, though, is that you're pissing off and turning off moderates, and so you need to criticize bad far-left behavior. I agree with Hutch.
My actual opinion is that I do not think this will make a big difference in AOC's chances of winning
from a descriptive
and they're analyzing it in a vacuum. They're not looking at what effect this has on the Overton window, how it alienates moderates. They're not looking at any of that shit. Hutch has made these points half a dozen times already.
That's why I'm not really that pissed off by it. I don't think it makes that big of a difference, right? We just have a difference of opinion on the facts of the matter, right?
And by this, what I'm saying is the left criticizing Democrats at times when the Republicans.
If their ideology is white supremacy, then they never needed an invitation or anyone to open the door to the identity politics of I'm a white man, everyone else sit down and shut up. Bullshit. The Jerkovich. This was a politically untenable position to have through the 90s, thousands, and tens. You were not allowed to be a fucking white dude who's like, yeah, I'm white. Yeah, I'm proud of my ancestry. All the minorities can shut the fuck up and stick it up their ass. You always had to use like euphemisms, and you always had to talk about policy. This thing, like white supremacy, was pushed underground by opening up this language of intersexual analysis and all that kind of stuff, which, by the way, like there's a sociological argument for intersectionality and a sociological argument for the identification of struggle through intersectional analysis. There's a perfectly reasonable sociological argument. However, people used the sociological argument in order to do oppressor-oppressed dynamics and then morally excuse abhorrent behavior by quote-unquote oppressed people, and that obviously pissed people off. It's like, no, just because you're poor and black doesn't mean that you get to commit arson. Just because you're poor and black doesn't mean that you get to destroy downtown. Just because you're poor and black doesn't mean you get to steal shit. Just because you're poor and Muslim doesn't mean you get to fucking commit jihadist terrorism. Just because you're Hispanic and an immigrant doesn't mean that you have like a complete license to ignore immigration laws. That's not how the world works, nor should it be how the world works.
Republican alternative is worse, like during an election. That's when
whatever says maybe I should be more offensive than Connor won't ignore me. I mean, you could just make your points, and if it's a good point, I'm going to contend with it.
I'm saying is pissed. I'm not saying that I get pissed every time the left criticizes liberals either. Just to clarify what I'm saying, I do get annoyed by. You say that you didn't see us being pissed. That's my point.
Oh, did I call Iana Omar Ethiopian? I should have called her Somali. Oh, I was being racist. I mix people up. Let's get our racist analysis of Congress people correct. Ilhan Omar is who I was thinking about. So where's she from? Where is she from? I thought she was Somali. Yeah. And then Rashida Tlaib. Nationality. Well, right. Nationality. Ethnicity. Palestinian. Okay. I was talking about Ilhan Omar when I said Rashida Tlaib. I was just being racist. Forgive me.
A lot of things that piss me off about the Vanguard or Kyle or Crystal or whatever, I often bite my tongue, right? Because I just see it 100%.
So you're a bitch.
Because I see it as more important to build the coalition.
So you're a bitch.
I would rather have with.
That's a Nazi talking point. No, it's not. It could just be a joke. I don't know if she married her fucking brother or not.
Kyle and Crystal and the Vanguard, a coalition, then hashing out every single disagreement we have that risks the coalition. If I feel that the coalition is risky, yes, of course. I don't just, I keep my powder dry for the right. And I've been very open about that from the beginning. I try to pick my battles about when and where I disagree and how, which is why I've gone on to the Vanguard.
But we have been ruthless. But to Hutch's point, and I guess I'll have a general question for you. I know that we have a hard out, so we have to go. But I'll have a question for you, Josiah, and maybe for myself is we have been going hard on Fetterman. We have been going hard on Schumer. We have been going hard on Hakeem Jeffries. Just earlier this conversation, we were going hard on Hochul.
Zeta says the far left is against this coalition. Yeah, I know. That's why I would prefer it if Pondering, instead of pandering to these far left. Oh, that's a good shit talking name. All right. Again, I love Pondering. I love Josiah. But Pandering Politics, if you were shit talking Josiah, that'd be a funny way to do it. You're like, you're not pondering politics, you're pandering politics. Boom. Owned. But what the fudge was I thinking? Yeah. This is a fight for the soul of the Democratic Party and also a fight for the soul of the Republican Party. 100%.
So we'll need to explain that as well.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
I everything you're saying is valid. I'm not saying you should burn bridges. I'm not saying, but we're grown-ups, and I think like grown-ups can like call other grown-ups out for behavior that's like bad.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's how a lot of coalitions work. Like, listen, my general disposition is, unless I get super pissed, when I have a conversation with somebody that I consider nominally an ally, I do treat them with kid gloves, because I don't know what it is that they can take in terms of criticism and the intensity of the criticism. And if I judge the coalition as being broadly more valuable than litigating every single disagreement that we have, then
you'll hold back.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't.
Okay, to be clear, 10% of the chat has just been playing with my name in order to make a fat joke. I'm gonna do steroids and beat the fuck out of all y'all. Just to let you know. All right. So have fun. I'll see you in a few months.
I genuinely don't know of any, like somebody like Destiny, for example, when he had disagreements with me, I know for a fact that he kept his powder dry. Like he didn't go 10 out of 10 hardcore on every disagreement that we had. He
didn't call you a communist? That's weird.
I mean, he may have now. I have no idea. But my point is, I just don't think that's how these sorts of relationships work. I think some people are more inclined to disagree with others. You're willing to do it, right? At least more so than I am. But I also think that I find these coalitions more valuable than you do. And so you're willing to take the risk. And I just think it's worth exploring in our next conversation about this, which I know is probably going to happen next Monday.
Hell yeah.
Is that fair? Is that fair? I'm not trying to gaslight you. I'm genuinely saying,
yes,
if we're going to talk about this,
you're valid.
Then I have questions for you about what you would like to see different. And why.
I look forward to having backup with liberal twink who will for sure
Who's that?
make me feel less
Who's
Lakshya Jain.
Lakshya.
Oh,
Is it Lakshya? I thought it was Lakshya.
Is it?
I thought there was a
Lakshya?
You're
content
probably right.
creator. I thought there was.
All right, sounds like they're wrapping up. We're going to move into the Biden content. In summary, this is the argument. I'm going to bring it up again. My beautiful drawing. If you can't read this, this is the left-right spectrum, okay? You have the far left, you got the progressives, you got the liberals, you got the libertarians, the moderates, the neocons, and then you have a bunch of contrarians who are libertarian or moderate or neoconservative. But they always want to bring up what's wrong with the left because they're uncomfortable recognizing that MAGA is going to destroy the fucking country. And so as a result, I can't appeal to MAGA people. I really can't, because they're so deep in the cult that for every one person you get out of MAGA, 99 people tell you to go fuck yourself. So it's basically not even worth it. Contrarians are available because you can, like Tom Bilyeu. I haven't watched the content yet, but Tom Bilyeu was sucked into MAGA as a contrarian, but MAGA has been so psychotic that they lost Tom Bilyeu. So you could attract Tom Bilyeu, not to be a liberal or a progressive, but to be a libertarian or a moderate or a neoconservative who votes against the psychotic shit in MAGA, right? So you could get that kind of person. Libertarians, moderates, and neoconservatives, they already know that MAGA is rat poison for the country. Liberals know that MAGA is rat poison for the country, but they're currently in conflict with progressives and far leftists. And so I want to reinforce this, the grill hottest coalition, okay? People who want to work, pay their bills, go to school, take care of their families, take care of their communities, and they don't want to capsize and destroy the United States of America because they actually think that the republic in general is a good idea. And so this is what I want to create. I'm going to save this picture. And effectively, the debate that we just watched was Hutch saying, hey, these far left psychos, they might vote the way that we want them to vote, but they're pieces of shit and we need to call them out. Then it was Econoboi and Pisco saying, no, they're our friends because we're actually pretty close. And then it was Josiah, who's a mix of progressive and liberal, kind of saying like, no, I'm closer to the vanguard than I am to Rob Noor over here. Therefore, I'm not going to criticize these people for political efficiency. But I, as a neocon, with Hutch as a liberal, we're arguing that if you sweep for these pieces of shit, then you lose all of this in the coalition. So who's right? I have no idea. I'm just fighting for my tribe as best I can, and I'm advocating for a center-left, center-right coalition that actually aren't made up of pieces of shit. End of rant. I parasocially love you. Thank you for all the donations. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.